No, that's totally good. No,
Honey?
I'm just trying to manage.
Thank you, and welcome back. We are reconvening open session, and we are going to ask Angel Ochoa to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Angel, you want to stand up? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And let the record reflect that all members are present for roll call. So we are now, announcement of actions taken in closed session. We are going back into closed session. Okay, so we will now move to approval of the agenda.
I move.
Mike?
I move.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's okay.
There we go. So I'd ask that item Q1 be removed from tonight's agenda. We have some new information coming from the Yolo County Education Center that will change the MOU, and we'll bring it back at a later date.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, Board Member Wong made a motion.
I move to approve the agenda with the modification.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, reflect unanimous ayes. Communication and celebrations. We now move to recognition of the Superintendent's 2017-2018 Student Advisory Committee. Linda Luna, Superintendent.
Thank you, President Alcala, Board of Trustees. This evening, I'd like to recognize the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council, who faithfully met with us about once a month. What I want to make sure that you know is that as we get stakeholder input, the student's voice is probably a critical piece of input for us for guiding our work and for really knowing how things are going in the student's lens. And so I want to give a shout out to these students. They're pretty incredible. And what I think what I most appreciate about our students that met with me faithfully is that they're very honest. They're very honest, and they give me very direct feedback about not just about the high school, but just about education in general. We talked a lot about safety. We talked a little bit about their K-8 experiences. We talked about how we could improve things at the high school. And mostly they just appreciated having a venue just to discuss. And so I thought it would be good for you to see them because some of them will be leaving. So I'm going to ask my advisory committee to come on up. Yes, come on up. So my advisory committee, what I'm going to ask you to do is state your first and last name, and then if you can tell the board what you're going to be doing next year, okay? All right. So Martin is not here tonight. Caitlin is not. not here. Titus is not here. Faisal is not here. What? Simran is here. So this is Simran Kumar.
Hi, my name is Simran Kumar. I'm a senior at River City High School, and I'm going to Sac City to do my pre-recordings.
Maggie is not here. Anna is not here. Evelyn is not here. Kaleem is here, because Kaleem's been emailing me.
Hi, my name is Khalil Salim, and I'm a junior right now, so next year I'll be hopefully applying for colleges.
Tell them what you're doing this summer.
Oh, this summer I'll be taking Sac City classes.
Kaylee. Kaylee. Come on.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Tinsley, and I'm a junior, so next year I will be at River City again. And over summer, I applied for an internship with the city, so hopefully that's what I'm doing.
Nice. I also want you to notice the T-shirt she's wearing. She's part of the band and guard program, so she's very, very busy. Alexis is here. This is Alexis Villanueva.
Hi, my name is Alexis Villanueva. I'm a senior currently at River City, and next year I will be studying global political science at Cal State San Marcos.
And this is Jamesha Williams.
Hello, my name is Jamesha Williams, and next year I will be attending California State East Bay and majoring in biology.
One of the legacies of Jamesha is that she serves on the Black Student Association, and they got cords for their graduation robes, and she was a real advocate for that. So all of these students are leaving a bit of a legacy behind to make River City a little bit better, and hopefully some of them will come back too. So congratulations, have a great summer, and if we can take a picture with the board, that would be great, because we'll switch over some students.
Smile for me. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
You and your heel.
Okay. Okay, so we will now move on to recognition of Washington Unified School District Google Certified Educators. Melissa Oliver, Coordinator of Instructional Technology.
Google offers a certification pathway for teachers.
Better? Yeah. Oh, okay, should I start over? Okay. Take two. So I'm excited, thrilled to be here tonight to honor and celebrate our Google certified educators in Washington Unified School District. Google offers a certification pathway for teachers. They have a level 1 that recognizes a foundational knowledge and skills to integrate technology to improve teaching and learning, and they have a level 2 that recognizes advanced knowledge and skills. And this certification is no joke. It is quite rigorous. It takes 12 to 14 hours of preparation materials, and it is a 3-hour exam where teachers not only have to answer multiple choice type questions about pedagogy and effective teaching strategies with technology, but they also, most of it is performance-based, where they actually have to demonstrate that they can do these skills, build websites, collaborate with colleagues, and these things that are necessary in our current environment. And so we currently have 28 level 1 Google certified educators and 9 level 2. And this started 2 years ago. Some of our teachers did this completely on their own in a response to a summer virtual camp. And then last summer, we did kind of a first iteration of an in-person face-to-face that a small group did. And based on feedback from that, I partnered with my job alikes at Twin Rivers and Roseville Joint Union High School District. We put our minds together, representing 3 districts, 3 different counties, serving 50,000 kids, put our best resources together, and piloted a workshop over spring break that many of our teachers attended, and we received some rave reviews. And so now we're taking that and bringing it in June. And so far, as of 5 o'clock today, we have 123 teachers registered for our June workshop, and a couple principals, which I'm super excited about. So not all of our teachers could be here tonight, but I do have some plaques. What we did is we framed their certificate so they can hang it proudly within their classroom. So I'm going to present those with them. And so Melissa Baldwin, she's College Career Ready Program Specialist, is here. These are our level 1 educators. Congratulations. We have Liz Burkholder. She is a special education teacher from Westfield Village. And Sarah Barnes, 4th grade teacher from Westfield Village. Dana Gould, 4th grade teacher from Westfield Village. And I want to point out, if you are a 4th grader at Westfield Village, in general or special education, you are being taught by a Google certified educator. They're our first certified team in the entire district. Very excited about that. Go Wildcats. So now we have some teachers here who have done both level 1 and level 2. We have Joey Garza, Yolo. We have Amber Bradley from Washington Middle College High School. We have Tony Marbelli from River City High School. And we have Brian Russell here tonight, math teacher from Elkhorn. And many of these teachers now are working towards pursuing becoming a Google certified trainer, and so they're going to help us train our next generation. And I could not forget, we also have our first classified certified Google educator, Christy Jordan. So she's going to lead the way for our classified members. And if you want to see the entire list, it's posted on our social media channels today, WC K-12 Tech. So let's get a picture. Can we get a picture?
Yes.
Oh, wait, hang on. We got Gia Moreno, River City, Art. Wow. And you were there. Of course, it's on the bottom.
Congratulations, you guys.
And thank you.
Thank you.
There's a photo on it. All right, 1 sec. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Smile. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Huh?
Photoshop. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Good. So now we are moving on. Item J3, recognition of Elkhorn Village Elementary School for receiving AVID School-Wide Site of Distinction. Erin Cormier, Program Specialist.
It's on the mic at the bottom.
Going out, or?
It's not lit. It's not lit.
There's a little button, right?
Yeah, it's lit. It's lit. Oh, you just turned it off again.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Good evening, board members, our wonderful teaching staff that's behind us, and families, both here and in the community. We are here to really honor Elkhorn Elementary for earning the AVID School-Wide Site of Distinction. But I wanted to begin this evening, if it was all right, to give a little bit of background about what AVID is, although I know that our board members are quite familiar. Wanted to make sure that our community also understood what AVID was, so that we could really understand how remarkable that this honor is for Elkhorn. So we have AVID across nearly every single school in our district. And AVID is really on a foundation of 4 pillars to transform schools. It's all about instruction, systems, leadership, and that whole school culture. This is a very busy slide, and it's probably more to read at another time. But what it's really focusing on is AVID is all about those best practices, making sure that our students have higher level questioning abilities. They have rigor in their classrooms. They're getting the emotional and social support, that they understand organizations and structures that will help them become ready to lead all the way to college and beyond, so that they are successful throughout life. And the way that AVID does this is through really utilizing best teaching practices. Some of those practices include what AVID calls as WICR, and that stands for Writing, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Reading. And that is interwoven through all subjects and throughout instruction to make all learning more accessible to students. Also, an important part about being AVID is having that teamwork and collaboration. I can't tell you how remarkable it is to be able to go into even a second grade classroom and see students actually completing philosophical chairs, having those, or in the older grades, those Socratic seminars, working together, having those discussions. Now, a lot of people think of AVID and they think of Cornell notes. It's so much more than that. And probably what I like to emphasize is, even from the younger grades, just use of graphic organizers, learning to take 2-column notes, 3-column notes. And this isn't just in reading and writing. This is in mathematics, science, just across curriculum areas. And tutorials. That sounds like a funny word, but it's really a very important part. It's a very powerful component of AVID in the secondary program. It's really about having students, when they have an issue with their understanding, when they have a point of confusion, they come together with a group of other students, as well as with college students that come and help tutor them. And they work together not just to find out an answer from someone else, but to actually, through questioning strategies, learn through their own thought process so that they can solve the problems themselves. It's extremely powerful when you see it in action. And probably one of the, most students will say the best part of AVID is that opportunity to visit universities and colleges. And it's so much more than just a field trip. It's really about our students understanding that they can go to college. They learn how to get there. They learn about financial aid, the applications, the steps that they will need to take. And that is so powerful. And so now we're talking about Elkhorn specifically, and I cannot be more proud, and I'm sure you are as well, Elkhorn first started AVID back in 2008, 2009, and they first became certified in 2013. This is very normal. It usually takes a few years to build up the program. From there, though, they just continue to go up, with becoming highly certified by the 2015, end of the 2015 school year, and then this year becoming a site of distinction. What does that really mean? There are nearly 7,000 AVID schools across our country and actually in other countries as well. And there's only 173 schools that are designated as sites of distinction. That means that Elkhorn is one of AVID's top 1%. And that's huge. And I just want to highlight a few teachers. Now, certainly, it's not just these teachers. It's all of the teachers there at Elkhorn. But I want to highlight a few of these teachers because they have really been the backbone of the AVID program over the last, 10 years at Elkhorn that have made this possible. And finally, of course, it's the students. It's really all about the students. So I would love to ask that Principal Garcia and the AVID teachers, I believe are the Elkhorn AVID teachers, and for that matter, any other AVID teachers or students that might be in the audience, if they could stand up. And Principal Garcia, I'm going to have you have to come up here. Our site coordinator. Banner. This is for you.
So, thank you.
Just congratulations. It's an honor to have the hard work that all of you have done in our district.
Thank you.
Wow, it's outstanding.
Yeah, bring the banner up front too. Thank you.
It's all about you guys.
This is Carlos Torres. He was part of our second class. He is a junior at Sac State.
Wow.
Mechanics.
Wow. That's so impressive. Yes, it is.
All right, ready, everyone? Smile on 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing that distinction to our district. Thank you.
If you'll indulge me in a quick moment to go off script, we're actually going to ride the coattails of Elkhorn Village Elementary School this evening. We got late news this week of another celebration from the school, and it was a little too late to add it to the agenda, but because their principal, Mr. Garcia, is here, we wanted him to highlight a couple things for you.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen on the board, and once again, it's my privilege and very proud to be here to celebrate student success. That's a big thing, and one of the things that to kind of piggyback on the AVID presentation is this year our students went to my alma mater, UC Irvine. So it's really neat on College and Career Day to see a lot of UCI stuff in the hallways and whatnot, and kids coming up and sharing. I was able to find an old picture the night before graduation where I tell the kids that's when we conquered the anteater, and showing them pictures of me a long, long time ago. They're like, "Is that you?" I'm like, yeah, that's me, once upon a time. So. Again, tonight is about our kids and, the teachers that make that possible as well. Some incredible work that's being done by them. On April 28th, several of our students, went with staff members to just various parts of the state. First off, in the Northern California Regional Mesa Day at CSU East Bay, we had several students that placed there. In the 7th, 8th grade, bridge competition. We had Angela Guardado and Eliana Guerrero place third place. And as we know, there's many students that participate in these programs. And again, these are students that, you know, incorporate AVID strategies, that collaboration piece as well. So it's really neat to see them come together. In addition to that, for sixth grade, you know, the glider competition, we took second place there, and that was Andrea Macias, Celia Romo, and Victor Garcia as well. So we were extremely proud of them as well. And also to our elementary in the first annual CREST Summit, we had a number of students, you know, also bring home some hardware. In first grade math, in the math competition, we had a second place with Mee McDonald. And also, Mee McDonald took third place in the catapult. So again, these are students that are incredibly engaged and just, you know, I think I know that there was, you know, some conflicts, if you will, with athletics. So I think that the kids chose, you know, these competitions over soccer, which is saying a lot, because I think we all know that such a heavy emphasis on athletics. But it's really neat to see that, hey, we're going to push this aside for a minute and just get the recognition in the classroom, so to speak. So this is great that we have these students doing it, but again, it couldn't be without, you know, some of the, you know, the teachers, obviously, that are part of this. I know Mr. Anselmo Marin, where did he go? He was here. I know. Okay, Mr. Marin, thank you very much for leading the charge there as well. And I know that a couple of teachers, Mrs. Carmen Wright is also a big part of the program, and it's Mrs. Wright. Thank you, Mrs. Wright. And we have Mrs. Guadalupe Medina, also a first grade teacher, a dual immersion teacher at Elkhorn as well. That's very much involved in these programs. So again, these guys knock it out, and you know, we appreciate them for again providing these opportunities for our students. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so now we will move to J4. School report, Washington Adult School, Renee Collins, Director of College and Career Readiness, Educational Services. No.
It is on now.
It's on now? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, good evening, President Alcala. Our board trustees, our cabinet, our guests here this evening, and our community listening in from afar. Thank you so much for having us here to talk about Washington Adult School. I am very pleased to be joined by my program specialist, Melissa Baldwin. Here she is, and she's going to co-present with me tonight about our Washington Adult School. And I just wanted to put in a little plug that she is a new program specialist for us this year. 30% of her time has been spent with adult education, and it's been such a blessing to have her support the adult education programming that we're attempting to do in Washington Unified. So she has been a real asset to us this year. So, and behind her, we have some additional students. 3 of our students are going to be speaking with us. They all represent different programs that we offer within Washington Adult School. And I'm so very happy that they all stood up, but we've got teaching staff here, and we have additional students here, so all representing Washington Adult School, and they're very proud members of our organization, so we'll get a chance to hear from them. Ooh. Yay.
So one of the first things that we wanted to highlight this year for Washington Adult School is overhauling kind of our brand and our image and really putting ourselves out there. And so one of the things that I have been working on this year is not just the logo that we that Renee worked on and that we had created and branded for us, but also our website, our Washington Adult School website. So with a lot of the other overhauls of the websites throughout the district, we now have our own space with our own URL that is really easy to find. And so on a lot of the new documents that we're creating and publications that we're putting out, we're able to put our WSD website on there. The other thing that we've been working on this year is trying to bring much of our registration process, at least for the CTE, to a digital platform. And so early on in the school year, I went to some trainings and I learned how to create our online registration process for our culinary and our IT fundamentals or our technology classes. One of the goals that we have moving forward is to create an online orientation for next year for students who want to register for high school diploma as well as our ESL classes. And so it's really moving in an excellent positive direction. Another thing that we have been focusing on this year is getting the word out about Washinton Adult School and how we can serve a broad range of students in our community. And so another way that we've done that is that we've created a Twitter account. And so with all of our social media and Twitter, our website, and other publications, we're really just trying to get our name out there so that West Sacramento and other communities as well can really see us as a viable option if they're looking to continue their education as an adult.
There we go. Sometimes we wonder how Washinton Adult School fits into the bigger picture of our regional programming. Washinton Adult School is part of the Capital Adult Education Regional Consortium. We are one of 14 members in the region that is in the Los Rios Community College District Consortium, and we also have all 4 colleges within Los Rios as part of our membership. So when we meet on a monthly basis, the directors meet on a monthly basis, we do a lot of collaboration, a lot of program alignment. So all of the names that you see up there represent my partners in adult education throughout the region. I also wanted to highlight that Washinton Adult School is not an entity in and of itself. We have many, many, many partners, and I don't want you to see the whole, you don't need to read the whole list of partners, but by putting them all up here, or many of them up here, I just wanted to show the reach of support services that we have within Washinton Adult School. We are part of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, and we have monthly meetings with the Workforce Innovation Board in Yolo County and several of the county agencies, several of them listed. So trying to make sure that we are leveraging each other and making sure that we are breaking down those silos and helping clients move across systems a lot more readily than they might have done otherwise. This is actually a required component of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act to have partnerships like this and to be supporting one another. So also, it's not me that comes up with the ideas about what we do with Washinton Adult School, solely and on my own. We have regional priorities with the Capital Adult Education Regional Consortium that we review on an annual basis, and we create a 3-year plan for where we're going. So the 4 current regional CARIC priorities are to build and expand adult education offerings, which we have done in the last couple of years. We have doubled our size. We have added 2 additional programs. We had almost 600 students enroll with us this year, so we have definitely really expanded. Number 2, the development of alignment and pathways. Our students can go to classes within Washinton Adult School, or they can connect to courses and class offerings in any one of our 14 partnerships or with our members. And so we've developed a website called capitaladulted.org where students can go in and say they're looking for a job certification class, and they can type their address in where they live, and all of the closest courses that are of their interest will pop up, and they can choose where to go, and they can see the website and so on and so forth. So that's a very nice regional resource that we have for adult education students. Number 3, I've spoken a little bit to the student support services and making sure that we're leveraging each other's resources that we have. We provide a lot of the education component, but the America's Job Centers for California, for example, provide a lot of the workforce preparation and support. And then 4, enhancing our data and accountability systems. Of course, people want to know if it works, and so we are really working to build up our accountability systems and making sure that we have the data that the legislature needs at the time that they're making the decisions about should we continue to fund adult ed in California. So we're right on there with them. Okay.
So one of the things we wanted to highlight tonight is the demographics. What do our students look like? What students are we serving? And so the multiple languages that we have shown in the slide deck, we have over 17 languages represented among our student population. Of that, 60% are female, 40% are male, a range of ethnicity and races. And then when we go down to age, what we really wanted to highlight is that more than or almost 50% of our population is between the ages of 25 and 44. And so we're really serving a broad range of people in our community and outside our community as well. And we're addressing those needs, either if it's high school diploma or ESL, or in these technical fields where they could potentially end up getting certifications or growing their skills to move within salary schedules or better themselves for like job opportunities that they want to be able to qualify for later.
So we're going to quickly break down our programs. English as a second language is one of our largest programs. If you drop to the fourth bullet, you'll see that we had 316 enrollees in 2017-18. 66 so far this year have increased in educational functioning level, and I have 3 years of previous data listed there as well. Our data is not complete until August 1st, so this is just very preliminary data, but that's increasing in educational functioning level means they may go from beginning to beginning high to intermediate low to advanced, and it's a 10-point jump every time they go to a new level. So while students may increase within a level, they may also increase to the next level. So we've had at least 66 student enrollees increase in educational functioning level this year, and our ESL speaker for tonight has gone up 18 points this year. She came into our program last year as a beginning low-level student and is leaving this year as an advanced student and transitioning to Sac City College. We also have so I'm going to go back up to the top. We're also having a focus on integrated English literacy and civics education. This is a new focus for us to accelerate students' path to employment. So many of our students, as adults, as parents, as needing to be working citizens, cannot stay in year after year of school. They really need to be able to get to work quickly and provide for their families. So what we're looking to do is create programs that allow students to be in an education program for ESL or basic skills. At the same time, they're enrolled in a career and technical education or pre-apprenticeship program, and that concurrent enrollment is going to accelerate their path to employment. So that's a new initiative for us. I also wanted to highlight that for the last 2 years, we've been meeting with Sacramento City College as an ESL work group, making sure that we have aligned programming and that we're not offering similar programming at the same time. So that's been a really nice collaboration with Sac City College. And I also wanted to mention that just a couple months ago, we were co-hosts with Sac City Unified School District's Adult Ed program for the Northern California English Literacy and Civics Education Conference with about 200 attendees. And we were very proud to do that, and we just might be invited back to co-host again next year. So that was a nice opportunity to partner with our colleagues in the region.
So under our adult secondary education program, our ASE, we have high school diploma and high school equivalency. And so we have 2 different options for our students who come in, who are seeking high school equivalency or high school diploma. They can either go the equivalency route, which is where they would either take the high set or the GED. So we have a preparation program for them where they meet twice weekly and study different aspects of the GED so that they can become proficient and take the test and pass. Our other program that we have is the high school diploma, which we have one of our students here tonight to speak about his experience working through the high school diploma program. And the high school diploma program is really focused a lot on blended learning. And so under our Fuel Education, which is our adopted curriculum, the students have been working with their teacher in a classroom, working on the computer, going through the different modules in the curriculum, and then also getting feedback and support as needed from the teacher that's housed within the classroom. Some of our preliminary data for this year is that we have 28 projected graduates and high school equivalency completers, which our graduation is on May 30th at the end of this month. And so we're really excited to be celebrating them and the accomplishment that they are going to be undertaking in just a few weeks. And also 32 to date increased in educational functioning level. And then there's also our previous data as on there as well from the last 3 years.
Okay, so one of our newer programs is Career and Technical Education, which offers short-term career training with industry certification, and it's key that we're offering the industry certification piece with it, or we can't call it career technical education. So that's been a big component for us. We're doing it so far in 2 pathways, food and hospitality and information support and services. The information support and services, we've actually teamed up with our Human Resources Department and Business Services Department to be able to offer professional development for our classified staff per their contract. And we had 8 students from the district enroll in our IT fundamentals class this spring, so we were really happy to do that, and we do have a student here to talk about her experience with that. Also excited to say that this year we got on the eligible training providers list, the ETPL, it's often called, and I always forget what the acronym is, so I had to write it out. It's on the caljobs.ca.gov website. It was not an easy process to get on, and we are one of the only providers to be on it in Yolo County. And but by being on it, now the entire state can see the type of programming that we offer at Washinton Adult School, and they can make referrals to our programs so that we can have full classes. Because we also switched to fee-based programming this year. We do not have enough funding coming through apportionment, the Adult Ed Block Grant apportionment, so we did switch to a fee-based programming model for our career and technical education classes, and county agencies and other agencies are sometimes able to support their clients to be able to participate in programs like ours, provided they're on the eligible training providers list. So that was a key goal for us this year. That's all I wanted to say with that one. We are also offering pre-apprenticeship. We have a partnership with Northern California Construction Training, and our pre-apprenticeship program is called Pre-Apprenticeship Construction Training, or PACT. We call it PACT. In 2017, we were awarded $500,000 from the California Community College Chancellor's Office to be able to implement both a youth program at the high school level and an adult education program. So we are split funding that. We said we'd serve 80 adults and 80 youth, and so far we have exceeded the number of adults that we plan to serve, and we're just heading into our summer program where you may have heard we're going to be building a tiny house. 28 students have completed and were hired as a result of their training. A big partner of ours is Clark Pacific. They're coming in every 2 weeks to be able to hire people out of the program. 6 adults have been confirmed for the Carpenters Union Local 46 training list, and we're so popular that they did a video about our program, which is pretty awesome, and the link is there. I'm not going to show it at this point, but it's about a 3-minute video, and please take a look at it. It highlights our program, the pre-apprenticeship, and programs at the Charles Jones Skill Center in Sac City, and it's just talking in general about pre-apprenticeship and career technical education and where our programs through adult education can take our students. Now we're to the favorite part, right? The student testimonies. So I'm going to start by introducing Jose Renteria. And Jose, you want to come on up here? Jose is, I'll just speak very quickly and then let him speak for himself. He is in 3 of our programs. He is in our high school diploma program. He is not one of our graduates this year, but he has worked very, very diligently throughout the year to make very good forward progress, and we're happy with his the determination and steadiness that he's stayed at with high school diploma. He's also enrolled in our career and technical education career kitchen program. that he heard about, and he was kind of interested in the culinary area, so he decided to take that. And then one of our partners is the Yolo County Children's Alliance, who has the contract for the WIOA Out of School Youth Program. And Jose has enrolled with the WIOA Out of School Youth, and he's working, well, I'll let him tell you where he's working, but he is working through that program. So it's just a really nice partnership and a student who's taking full advantage of what we have to offer through Washington Adult School.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm just going to explain my experiences in all these three programs. I would start with the high school diploma. It's very fast-paced for me. I was always interested in computers. It's been a really fast-paced for me. Fortunately, I can't finish this year, but hopefully in the upcoming semester, I will finish. And in my career technical education program, I'm learning in the culinary arts, and I've been having a wonderful time there. I was supposed to be here today, but I would love to I would prefer coming here and tell you guys about my experiences. Mm-hmm. And I've also been in the WIOA Out of School program, and they helped me get an internship at a bar and grill. And also in the culinary arts, I've been learning a lot in how getting hands-on in the kitchen experiences. And so when the time comes for me to enroll in a culinary arts class, I will be ahead of the curve. And thanks to these programs, I'm going to go to a culinary school.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to invite Angelica Pueblita. She represents our ESL program.
Good evening. My name is Angelica Pueblita. I have been a student in Washington Adult School since September 2016. I have studied 2 years school, and I will finish in May. In the beginning, when I arrived to Mexico, I needed one English school. And a friend of my husband informed me of this school. I talked with Mr. Noé, and I started at the basic level because my English was very bad. In this moment, mastering the English language became my main goal. I began with a lot of enthusiasm and current student 15 hours per week. I come in 4 years, 4 days in the morning, and 3 hours per day, and 3 hours 2 days per week in the evening. I have had many achievements and advances, and I'm very surprised because I can understand and speak English. I start without understanding anything of what the teachers was talking about. And now I have acquired skills on reading and writing. Washington Adult School taught me the perfect way to communicate in this country. It has also given me the great pleasure of having from friends. It's a great treasure for me. ESL classes help me in carrying out my paperwork to enter to Sacramento College. I did an entrance exam in English, and I achieved a good level. In this moment, I have a new goal in my life: become bilingual. I know this goal is good for me and my working life. I can proudly say that I'm learning in the English language has been satisfactory for me in Washington Adult School. When I find one person that doesn't speak English, I can tell them that I am an example, that with an excellent school and personal dedication, you can learn. I know everything that we propose, with effort and discipline, can be achieved.
Okay, and I'm now going to invite Karen Friedland up to speak about her experiences in our Career and Technical Education program, and she's also speaking from the point of view of a district employee taking advantage of the partnership that we have created.
Hi. My name is Karen Friedland, and I found out about the classes at Adult Ed from flyers that were posted throughout the district. I'm currently enrolled in the IT fundamentals, and we're learning how computers work and how to fix them. I took the class so I could work on my computer at home. And It's a lot of practice to do this stuff. I also earned the Manager's Serve Safe certificate when I took the Career Kitchen class during the fall. And we had industry speakers come in from the casino and other restaurants and stuff to tell us about jobs that are available in the food service. We also learned how to cook some awesome sauces and cooking bones to make the sauce, so it was a lot of fun. I wanted to learn something new, to see what's out there after retirement for part-time work and just to go out and have fun doing something different. I wanted to take advantage of the professional development that the district is offering classified people. And I encourage our classified staff to start taking some classes and just going out and having fun, enjoying, learning different things, instead of sitting at work all day long. And then I think people should take advantage of the adult ed classes to advance their careers or just to learn something new in their life and broaden their horizons. Especially the classified employees, because it can help them with advancement through the district or just moving on to other careers. So, thank you.
Thank you to all of our students. So this is my wrap-up, and then we'll answer any questions if you have them. But I wanted to give you a picture of where we're going next. We are going to go we are going to go through WASC next year. We're going to go through accreditation, and I couldn't find any history that says we've ever been an accredited school. So we know that we're going to have a visit in February next year, and so we'll be working very, very hard through the summer and fall to make sure that we're ready for that visit. We are also, with the new construction, planning to put in a Pearson VUE testing center. So I mentioned earlier that we're required to link our classes to certification, and that testing center will allow us to do some of that testing here in West Sacramento within Washinton Unified. I have spoken to the accelerated learning through the integrated education and training programs. We're planning to the degree that we can to expand our fee-based career training programs. And then as we're able, we'll expand our low-cost, high-interest, community-based courses, because all the time we're getting, can't we have a baking class? Can't we have a, and I get a lot of kind of community interest classes, but I really feel driven to make sure that we are meeting the needs of those who are most in need in our community. And once we have those programs in place and working well, then we can work for the additional community-based programs, which are so important in building our community too. Thank you for allowing us to speak with you tonight.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, everyone. Okay, so we will now move on to student and association reports. K1, Student Board Report, Emiliano Rosas, Yolo High School.
Good evening, Board, Cabinet, Superintendent Luna, and guests. Happening at Riverbank Elementary, some of our middle school girls were able to go to UC Davis to attend STEM for girls. Thank you, Ms. Lowry, who coordinated the trip on Saturday, May 5th. As we are winding down, soccer is coming to an end, and our Otters are doing an amazing job and playing with our hearts. This past week, Riverbank worked really hard to encourage all of our students to promote a sense of pride in college and career readiness. Thank you to staff, students, and our families for all your support. Mr. Wong's amazing fourth graders helped make the day amazing. Riverbank continues to be an amazing place where greatness can shine. River City High School's sports report. Track. Today, the RC track team is competing in the TCC Championship meet. Our JV boys team has a serious chance of finishing in the first of our league. Qualifying participants will go on and complete in the CIF SJS section meet. Swim. Last Friday, our boys and girls swim team won their third consecutive TCC League championships. Several of those swimmers will now go to compete at the section meet in individual and relay races. Baseball. Baseball concluded their season Tuesday. The team showed improvement in the field by limiting their errors. The boys battled through the season. And lastly, the dance show is happening May 10th and 11th in the River City Gym. Happening at Bright Career and College Training, West Sacramento FFA had its second annual parking lot sale and made $200 from selling FFA t-shirts, farm fresh eggs, garden plants grown by our Farm to Fork students. Our second annual FFA Awards Night is Friday, May 18th at 5:30, Bright. We will have appetizers, it will be catered, and there will be dessert. Please RSVP with Mrs. McAllister if you would like to attend. FFA officer elections are held the week of May 21st. An FFA officer retreat to plan our program activities will happen over the summer with the new officers for the 2018-2019 school year. Lastly, Yolo Education Center. Senior outing is May 17th at Capitol Bowl. Yolo students will be participating in Kinders Go to College on May 18, 2018. May 30th is Yolo Spectacular graduation ceremony. Board and cabinet are welcome to join. Before I conclude, I just want to take a brief moment and talk about how wonderful Yolo Education Center really is. So I just want to take a couple minutes to express how much Yolo means to me. Yolo is an amazing campus and environment for students to find themselves. We treat everyone that comes through the front gates like family. I encourage all students to be open-minded when considering Yolo. I promise you that we are an evolving campus, and students like myself have chosen to stay at Yolo. I would also encourage the board cabinet to come and visit our campus whenever you get a chance so you can see for yourself the greatness our site is producing. Huge thanks to Principal Ramos and Counselor Noagira for keeping the structure of our school. They are the best administrative team I have ever met. Also, huge shout out to Mark, Sally, Stephanie, and Sona, who keep Yolo running but also keeps everyone in check. Finally, we can't forget teachers. Every single teacher at Yolo deserves a combined #1 Teacher of the Year award. Special thanks to Mr. Garza, Ms. Noonian, Ms. Cornell, and Mr. Dennis, but we can't forget the veteran himself, Mr. Miller. These educators made my years at Yolo that much more special, and that concludes my board report.
Thank you. Excellent report. And we will now move to K2 WTA report. Don Stother.
Good evening.
Nope. Okay, went out.
No, it's so low. Yeah, no, wait. Is it? No.
Okay, thank you. Emiliano, thank you for your kind words. I know I concur with you. I enjoy going out to Yolo, and it's a great environment out there. I think more kids actually should take advantage of it because I don't think everybody fits into the regular school environment, and I think the opportunities that Yolo provides would work for a lot of kids, like you. I think I speak for everybody in the association when I say that we're gratified and happy that we've reached a tentative agreement and in our contract negotiations for the next 3 years. Apparently, this is even before the current one expires. That's a new concept for us. And on the behalf of the association, I would like to thank the board and the WSD bargaining team, most of whom were new this year, and for their hard work, positive attitude, and willingness to fully engage in the process of bargaining. And this made the agreement doable, and I believe it's led to an agreement that is a win-win for all of us. We'll be scheduling a ratification vote soon, and I hope by the next time I see you, we will have an approved agreement. A couple of weeks ago, Kobe Bizzotti and I attended a workshop in Sacramento where he was a member of a panel of school board members. One of the other members on that panel was Alan Fernandez from Davis. And he talked about something they do in Davis, and I know I spoke briefly with Kobe after that meeting. They have a 2x2 in Davis between the association, both associations, and the school board. And both of us think that's a great idea, and so I would like to encourage you to think about it and hopefully give it a serious look, and maybe we can put something like that together in West Sacramento. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. We now move on to the CSEA report. Do we have someone? CSEA? Okay, we do not. So we will now move to public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board and are not on the agenda, although the board, by law, may not take action at this meeting. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive the item limit for a particular item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic. Public comments consisting of individual charges, complaints, or derogatory remarks about any district employee are requested to be submitted in writing to the administration in accordance with the district's complaint procedure. We do recognize that for a lot of people, commenting before the board and the audience and the people watching at home on television is a nerve-wracking experience. So to try to make that as easy as possible, we do ask that there not be any applause or booing or catcalling or other demonstrations to maintain a civil discourse here in the chambers. The board respects the rights of members of the public to speak to us regarding matters on the agenda and other matters within the jurisdiction of the board. However, it is important for members of the public to recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be legally actionable as a violation of student privacy. Both state and federal law prohibits the board and others from discussing confidential student information in open session. To this end, be advised that if you reference a student's name other than your own student, you will be out of order and your comments may not be protected by the privileges that protect public speech. You could be found liable for such comments in legal proceedings. Furthermore, it is important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in a public board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. As such, the board reminds the public that the district has existing board policy that allows the public to lodge a complaint against a district employee. This policy provides a comprehensive procedure for reviewing and responding to public complaints. This process provides a more thorough opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. And we do have some public comment. Actually, one. Danny Langford.
Good evening again. A few concerns about the Sycamore Trail came up last night again at the City Council meeting, and it was mentioned that the Parks Master Plan is going to be coming before the Council May and finishing in June. Many things have been discussed in the community, as well as actually from a Parks and Recs commissioner that has said the Westmore Oaks, the current Westmore Oaks property, has been in the plan for over a year and that it's been in the talks and is going to happen. Again, I ask, at what point did you give the superintendent direction to enter into a letter of intent with the city a year ago, as I do have a copy of it at home, dated April of last year, and 2, specifically regarding this issue? It was said that the trail looks at following Northwest Interceptor, which goes right behind Westmore Oaks, and that it's going to have a Surrey seal and go through MOT. Again, when did you give direction? Who's going to pay for all that? City isn't going to pay for it. They said over and over and over last night, we have no money. We can't even pay our police officers because we have no money. again, I watch out for the school district because I've seen the city stomp on the school district before. I watched from Arizona when watching after our grandchildren last meeting. You, Ms. Kirby Gonzalez, had such a passionate concern when it was asked to be tabled about the safety issues person. But yet, this is such a huge safety issue to have this trail behind our school. And Megan's Law just covers a handful of people that are actually registered. And it's terrifying when you see all those dots around that community, and in our community in general, but especially there. I have to bring up something I was absolutely appalled about, because sitting out here, we see things that go on. I hear grumblings that are made, especially when the timer goes off at like the study session about shutting us public people up. But to watch the animosity I witnessed when the camera's on you guys up close and personal, when there's a disagreement between some of you guys, and Mr. Bisotti, you rolling your eyes when Ms. Cruz brought up something about tabling the item with the safety guy, it was absolutely unacceptable. I was appalled. I was like shocked because, again, you don't see it up close and personal when you're out there. But when the eyes are on you guys don't have to like each other. We voted for 5 individuals, not one voice. That's fine, but respectfully agree to disagree. And if you got animosity, keep it behind closed session, please, because it doesn't look good. I was really appalled. And there was a whole lot of striking going on down in Arizona while I was there. And I was just appalled. And I love this community so much. That's why I'm here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we will now move on to board and superintendent comments. Begin with Sarah Kirby Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. So the first piece, we had so many wonderful presentations this evening, and now they're gone, but I feel like I still need to make some comments about the people who are in this room, because it was very powerful and very special to recognize them. And one of the award winners that they talked about with AVID, that falls under AVID, which is Crest, and they talked about one of their first graders that won 2 medals. I think she's a first grader. I hope she wasn't a second grader. I hope I didn't get that wrong. But she had 2 medals, and I did get to meet her. And I have to tell you, the math test that she took at the beginning that she got a medal for was on a Scantron. This little girl took a test on a Scantron, a 45-minute test. And so it's really incredible what these kids are doing, and I'm very proud of them, and it was wonderful to see all their families there too, and to all of the teachers who give their time for these weekend competitions and who take their kids all over. We are so, so fortunate for you. Also, who is in the audience tonight from Elkhorn was one of our volunteers, and I asked her, I said, when we were at that weekend together, I said, how did you get into volunteering? Do you have a child connected to the school, a grandchild? And she said, no, I live across the street. And I walked over and I said, how can I get involved? And they put me to work, and now I volunteer every single week in this classroom. And it's people just like her that make our community so special, and we are so grateful to have. And so I wanted to recognize that. Thank everybody that was out here tonight. There's a lot we could say about every single presentation, and we're very, very lucky. Emiliano, what are we going to do without you? You are ready to go out and conquer the world, but thank you for your comments tonight, and thank you for the contribution that you always make up here with us, and for always being willing to give your voice and your comments on decisions as well. Thank you for that. I was on a CSUS advisory panel, and I wanted to let you know that they do have, one of the things that came up was they're doing a powerful day of learning, and it's on June 2nd from 9 to 1:30 for educators. And they're having creating strong systems of support for scholars. They're having social justice and educational equity, innovations in curriculum to engage multicultural students, and essential tools for educators in the 21st century. So those are a few of the things that are being offered at Sacramento State by their professors. They also talked about their ability to come in and to partner with districts and to help us with research and what we do. And one idea that comes to mind is to know, we want to know, how do our students do? We know that they're going off into careers or into colleges. We see that list of where they're going. And it would be nice to know, how are they doing when they're getting there? And Sacramento State said that they can get that data for us pretty easily, and I think our junior colleges could as well. And so I think those would be good conversations for us to have in the future, is how are our kids doing when they're there, and how is the work going that we're doing. And I also wanted to, I'm sure that Vice President Wong will also bring this up, but I did want to congratulate the district for $1 million over 3 years from the 1.1. I told you she'll be talking about it after, but I wanted to, so I hope you bring it up more, but I just wanted to thank you for bringing that to the board attention, to the district's attention. It's a big win for our district in terms of bringing in social workers and others. And tomorrow is Bright Park opening, and it'll be at 10 o'clock, and I know there will be a dedication for Charles Castorina, who is very important and came to this room many times to talk about Bright Park, so I look forward to that. And I want to give a shout out, it was also Nurses Appreciation Day this week, and what would we do without our nurses on campuses and in the community? And so we're very grateful for them, and also for our teachers. It's Teacher Appreciation Week, and I hope that the teachers are feeling very appreciated. It's been wonderful to see all the things that people are doing throughout the community for them. Thank you for what you do for our children, for my children, and everyone in Washington Unified, and thank you for what you do for each other, because this is a very hard profession. It's a very demanding profession, and what you give to each other is very important and helps keep us to be the best we can be. So thank you to all of our educators and all that you do. And I'm sure that we will also be getting a update on from our folks who are on the 2x2 in terms of the Sycamore Trail and those pieces as you have those conversations. And congratulations, and thank you for our tentative agreement to WTA and also to CSCA. So thank you to everyone who helped and has worked on that, and look forward to ratification. And I'll end by saying Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers in our community, and for all that they do, and the grandmothers too. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Alicia Cruz.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a few crossover items, and I just want to start by saying I know some comments were made that I'm in cahoots with some community members, and unfortunately, some of my comments cross over, and we're not in cahoots. So last week I did, with President Alcala, we attended the Excellence in Education Awards, and I wanted to congratulate our employees and our programs that received the large green pencil award that was created by our NCCT program. And it is a usable pencil, and it was very well liked at the Yolo County School Board. So it was very popular and very high demand. So that was good to see all of the Yolo County educators, and our own River City Junior High School ROTC opened the ceremonies for the first time, and we've had nothing but positive feedback from that program. And speaking about our NCCT, many of us have seen congratulations to Jason and our students for taking first place for their architectural design in the shed building competition last week. For those of you who don't know, they spend 2 days. They went out to Consumnes River College, and they competed against 30 other schools. It was a long 2 days for the students, and it was, if you saw the shed, if you get a chance to see the shed, it was just an awesome experience. It wasn't a shed, it was a house. I believe it's going to be a house for goats, and I think it was sold for $2,000. Don't quote me, but it was just an exciting time for them. We did hear a little bit about our 2x2 is scheduled for May 14th next week. The agenda has been posted. On the agenda is the Liberty Project, the Sycamore Trail. There's an item, Westmore Oaks and Charter School draft recreation area plans. And I'm not sure what that is, but it is concerning because we're talking about recreational area plans, and talking to 2x2 members that were there last year, we haven't had that conversation. So it would be interesting to see what that's going to be about. And the youth boxing camp. So it is a public meeting. It is here in the room next door. So if you're available, you can come out. And I know Sycamore Trail and Westmore Oaks is a hot item that's going on. Last week, I know a few other board members, we also had the privilege to participate in River City's mock job interviews with some students. It was an awesome experience. I was able to interview 5 students, and it was interesting to find out that 4 of those students aren't even from West Sacramento, and they don't live in West Sacramento, but they're attending our high school. So there's something to be said that we've got students coming from all over. I also, in my interviews, I had the opportunity to interview a special needs student who almost didn't get to interview, but because of the teacher was able to interview, and actually was very fabulous, and he was very excited about having the opportunity to share his skills. So it was good. So as the end of the year happens, we all get really busy. There's a lot of events coming up, and I hope we're able to make them. Lastly, I just want to touch on the board's governance workshops that we've had. We've had 3, one last year, at the end of last year, and 2 this year. The first session, we participated last year, and Mike and Amy from CSBA have been gracious to spend their time and guide us in our workshops. All 3 of them were held at the district office. None of them were recorded, so you know, it's you can't sit at home and watch that. They've been pretty educational. The first one last year, Norma wasn't able to attend, and we touched on a type of individual styles that we bring to the board and how to understand each other's styles and communications. And on that, we would think that we would practice what we preach. And I'm not a rubber stamper up here, so you know, I've totally enjoyed these communications. I wish that these workshops were a little bit more guided to our priorities and our goals from day one, but I understand the last one that you guys did, and I will talk about that a little bit later. The second session earlier this year, we touched on how we as individuals rated ourselves when conducting a district business and the percentages we believe individually that we use to rate ourselves as far as thinking of students' needs and leadership and et cetera. And the meeting concluded around noon, but prior to noon, it was stated that we have 12 minutes left, and let's talk about priorities and goals in 12 minutes. And that was very disheartening because priorities and goals of this board is going to take a lot longer than 12 minutes. So we did not talk about goals and priorities that meeting. President Alcala had to leave, and as I had stated in a previous meeting, inappropriately, some of the board members thought it was a good time to discuss questions and the leadership of President Alcala, which I thought was totally inappropriate and not the right time to do that. So the last meeting was just this week. Again, it was not recorded. I was not there. I sent an email to the President Alcala and the superintendent, letting them know that I would not be present and informing them why I would not be present, because I had reviewed the agenda, and I personally did not believe that the priorities and goals that were listed on the agenda were not discussed by the board. And it was hard for me to attend something when the last 2 meetings we worked on ourselves, and here is board, you know, a meeting number 3. So I took it upon myself to not attend that meeting. And during that meeting, I understand that the superintendent shared an email with the rest of the board that I was unaware of and was not notified of, that I sent to her, which caused some havoc. And some board members making some comments that it was quite harsh. So I'm going to read my email verbatim. It's very short, and leave it up to the public to tell me if it was harsh. And I'm going to go from there. And it says, "Hello, Linda. Honestly, I believe you wanted a reaction out of me, and you got it. I don't believe you value my suggestions and or my opinions, even though you say you do. Parentheses, we have had this conversation many times before, I know. I try to share and make things good, but I'm always proved a fool." And when I say that letter, during that workshop, comments were made by other board members about me, and I was not there to defend myself. And I am now taking this time, because it was an open meeting then, but it wasn't recorded, and it's an open meeting now. And I don't think it's appropriate for other board members to discuss other board members' issues with the superintendent and other board members without that board member being present. I think it's very inappropriate, unprofessional, and I even think it's a type of bullying. I do not work for the superintendent or any other individual board of trustees. I was voted here by my constituents to represent the voice of the students, the staff, and parents in our community. Not all of us on this board communicate the same, if at all. I do not filter my questions or hide information from the community, and I thank President Alcala for the update from the workshop at the direction of the rest of the board. As I was not in attendance, I was not there to defend the derogatory comments and tell the board and that they were made about me, and I will tell the board that they are entitled to their opinions, and I have always respected their comments, whether I agree or not. I don't sit up here and roll my eyes while others talk and make statements I don't agree with, and finally, I don't appreciate comments made by board members to President Alcala being concerned that they hope this discussion with Alicia works. I have never threatened anybody on this board or disrespected anyone. I may not have agreed with some of the comments, but again, I do not work for the superintendent, and I do not work for either one of you to be chastised by my comments. I do want to say, President Alcala, if instructed by the rest of the board, which has happened in the past, and the superintendent or the council to provide a letter of any inappropriate statements I have made, I hope you include the whole board's perspective this time, since their names are all on the letterhead. And I just want to thank the board for hearing what I had to say. I also want to thank the board for being able to have the discussion about the goals and the priorities, and I hope we can approve them and provide future direction to administration, and when making our future any discussions or utilizing the time. I also, I think that's it at this time, but I do thank the board, and I think it's important that we're transparent, and because those workshops were not recorded, I just wanted to let the community know what goes on when things are not recorded. Thank you.
Board Member Wong.
Thank you, President Alcala. One of the things that actually came out of the board study session was a statement about inclusivity. So I'm going to start with that. We did actually get to some really good conversations, and we did miss you. And I think that was noted, that we wish that, us being the Lions that we are, we want to be goal-oriented. And so we did actually come up with two kind of frameworks around that. And the first one was actually ensuring that there was creating an environment that's inclusive. So, we want to honor that. And off of that, I wanted to actually acknowledge that next Tuesday is the beginning of Ramadan. And as I did last year, hoping that we create some spaces for our students who may be fasting, and allow that to happen during those lunch periods, K-12. So I know that was something that staff was involved in last year, and hopefully we can do that again. So. Also, I actually wanted to thank Gwen Dillinger and the WSD team for getting close to $1.1 million over the last, for the next 3 years to include our MTSS work and social work. I was so proud of that work.
just because, in all transparency, I think the department made it a little bit harder because I was a board member and a reader. So I went through some extra hoops. So I just want to be very clear, there was no conflict of interest. I did not read it. There were over hundreds of applications, extremely competitive, and then the layer of actually needing to talk about whether or not they would award it because I was on the board. And so congratulations to Gwen and the team. You had a strong application, and we're going to get more services for our kids. So that's pretty phenomenal. I also wanted to actually thank the local community for, and including WSTA now, for handing out 54 scholarships to our graduating seniors for both academic and career opportunities. And I know that, Trustee Prezati will probably talk about it more, but actually to see the faces and the community members, and this was our local scholarships. This doesn't include our athletic scholarships or other scholarships through the four-year universities. And so it's such a great place to be right now in Washington Unified School District, and thank you, Stan, for kind of holding that and kind of keeping our kids as a priority, because that was also kind of one of our second goals, to ensure that there were that we foster an environment where young people can thrive. And I'm not using the right words because we're still working it out for to obtain their college and career goals, right? And with students being the center. And I think Emiliano, you embody that statement that you made. You embody that, and we are so proud of everything you've done for us and for me. I've learned so much from you. You're so professional, always with your wonderful PowerPoints. We'll definitely miss you, but we expect you to come back and contribute more. The interviews were really wonderful. I was impressed. I would hire every single person I interviewed. It happened to be on the same day that we had our buddy program celebration, and so I got a chance to stop in to see kind of all the high school kids who were mentoring our little ones in elementary school, and it was just so amazing that they all were just so excited, waiting for their kids and their young people and their young mentees. And thank you so much for the staff who actually put that together, because it's a lot of work to match. But and then to finally see those young people come on campus on those buses and run towards their buddies, it was just a really lovely experience. I also wanted to acknowledge that we, Superintendent Luna at the State of the City that we attended was. It was really acknowledged for all the great work in terms of what you have done to actually turn this district around, in terms of kind of where we were at before, and how there was this kind of, I want to say, like it went on forever, of all of your wonderful accomplishments and everything that you've done for our school districts to align and kind of build bridges and collaboration so that we can actually focus on student needs first. Right, and that we actually have a profound and a deep understanding of what equity means, about where there are needs to increase our resources so that everybody has an opportunity to thrive again in their college and career goals. I got again to actually acknowledge that again when I was able to attend the PTO coffee. Was it yesterday?
2 days ago.
2 days ago, two days ago, where you could see kind of the environment change and the dialogue change, and the things that we were talking about, district-wide parent opportunities, or bringing together all of our campuses as one Washington Unified School District, not competitive, and to see all those parent leaders advise, Superintendent Luna on the things that we could do better, and having Yorgos actually talk about that, having a retreat in August for them to kind of bridge that and bring the community together. So that's really something I'm really, really excited about, and wanting to see that. And just because they blossomed, I felt that, from my perspective years ago, I'm not sure if parents felt like they were really fully welcomed at the district. And to see that, and to see ownership from parents and caregivers, it's a change. And I think that's a testament to cabinet as well, right, and district staff, and everything you do to actually meet the needs of our families and our teachers, right, who are there every single day. For my children and the former teachers who, and I mean, really this idea that the district there is to support the craft of teaching, to create safe and supportive environments, right? And I feel like one of the things, knock on wood, is that I feel that the communication between our employees and our district office is getting better, right? We could always improve more, but I feel like there's a marked change in that. So again, acknowledging Teacher Appreciation Week and Nurses Week as well. And just kind of as we're wrapping out the year, and I think about how teachers and support staff have been supporting my own children at Southport, and it's just been really amazing. Even though things are happening, and then I wanted to acknowledge that we are 5 individual people, right, who are voted. And we don't always have to agree, but we do have to, and we're learning to communicate with one another. I'm the newest one on this board, so I'm learning, right? And I think the study session is just that, right? We have to learn, not everybody likes the warm and fuzzy, but we have to learn how we communicate and how we apply that, and it's not easy, right, as individual people. And I think that what I appreciate about this board is that at the end of the day, we're real. We are real, good, bad, ugly, we're real with one another, and when you're honest and you can put yourself out there, that you can have honest conversations that get messy, right? But I think that what I appreciated from that second session is that we all, pretty much have our focus is on students. It was very, very predominantly clear that we all are here for kids, and that was a really good aha moment. For me, and so we don't always have to like each other, but we do have to learn how to communicate with each other, and that's what the study sessions are for. I appreciate the fact that this last study sessions we got to it at the end of the second study session, but in this study session we talked about being a healthy community, and we're a healthy community by creating processes and protocols, right, which were discussed and very concrete, right, like what is this when it happens, when we have the crises, when what the public sees as rifts, right? How do we, what is that an indicator of? It's an indicator of we're just needing to learn how to create a process or protocol to communicate with one another, and we're not perfect. Oh, I'm going to say me. I'm not perfect, and so I appreciate the discussions that emerge out of kind of tension, so that we can actually put in place what is the protocol when X, Y, Z happens, right? So that we're not left guessing. Right, so that whoever is in leadership, we can hold that space for one another, so that we can be real and honest and follow a process that's respectful. And I think that's what and from me, that's what I walk away with in those study sessions, right? So, but then again, I'm a trained social worker, so the messy is what I'm used to. But I also see the light at the end of the tunnel, and appreciate that both my presidents have actually been able to hold that space, right? No matter how it feels right now, no matter how it looks, I felt very good coming out of it. It was very clear to me that we do have a strategic plan that we should probably talk a little bit more about. We do have an LCAT that's aligned and has had some community input, right? That we really get grounded that. And we always remember that out of those study sessions, we all had children at the center of our priority, right? So that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Pizzotti.
Yeah. I want to first start by saying I did attend as well with Trustee Wong, and I think you attended the latter session in the afternoon, of the BFFS mock interview. And I was only scheduled for one, but I had such a good time that I stuck around for the second one, because they were so fascinating to hear, how the kids, these freshman kids who are basically, just trying to get and find their way in high school, are excelling and exceeding expectations, and at least the expectations that I might have had during the interview, and how well prepared they were. And I threw every curveball at them I possibly could, and they came out with these great answers. And it made me beam. I was absolutely thrilled with what they said. I mean, and one thing that I did with every one of them that wasn't on the question sheet was I asked them, what elementary or, eighth grade school did they attend? And I got a wide variety and of answers. And all of them were equally fascinating because they all came up with a different story about themselves, which you could see when you asked them certain questions. But I got to say, one of the most heartbreaking stories, well, actually, I heard it on more than one occasion, was I asked the question of, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And one person told me well, I think actually two told me similar stories, but one person did tell me that they see themselves doing incredibly well in school and getting good grades so they could go away to college to escape their home environment. And I almost lost it. I mean, I literally, as soon as I heard that, I almost broke down crying because it was so touching. And I felt, so empathetic for these kids that it's just, it was amazing at some of the environments in which they're growing up in, and yet they're still doing exceedingly well in school. And this is a driving force in their life. And so I was just so proud of them and so impressed with their poise in handling, even though they were incredibly nervous, as you could see by the expressions on their faces. Some of them were absolutely terrified to be doing this, and others handled it like, I got this. But, they did incredibly well. So I hope I can be invited back again because I would love to do this every single year. This is great. Let's see. As Dawn mentioned, I did attend CTA's Political Academy as a panelist. And, some of the questions that were directed towards the panelists were, what do you do to maintain a relationship between, the board and the union? And I said, well, at first it helps to have Don Stauffer as one of the union presidents. That makes it very easy. He's a very likable guy. So, but it's the open line of communication that you have to have. And you have to be able to have a conversation and frank ones, as well as just, seeing them at regular events and going up and saying hi and making the effort. But as Don pointed out, Davis Joint Unified School District trustee Alan Fernandez did say that a 2x2 committee between the trustees as well and the unions is like a wonderful idea. I can't think of a better way to ensure that there's ongoing possibilities of keeping a dialogue going that maintains a relationship between the board and the union. And whenever there's a matter that is, of concern, but when, we have between whatever issue it may be, we have a forum to discuss it and agendize it and talk about it, or do whatever we need to do in order to make a continued avenue at ensuring that our relationships stay strong and solid. So I concur with Dawn on that. Now I wanted to address a comment that was made by one of our community members about me rolling my eyes during the safety questions, and that was on the last school board meeting. And I actually just went back and watched the YouTube video of it, and I would recommend that you do the same. Because that did not take place in any way that you think that it did. Because I watched it from my comment from the beginning to the end of it, and it just didn't happen that way. So I'm going to say that. And then I'll briefly talk about our study session. And I'll say that, I'll be quite candid. I do wish that you would have attended, because there was points of, process and protocols where, we've certainly established now, and I think we would have benefited from your input for certain, because you have a great deal of, you have a great deal of experience of being on the board, and certainly a lot longer than I have. And, everybody's opinion is valid, but our processes and protocols are in place for a reason, so you wouldn't have to read this email in public, and especially when it's to one of our employees. Actually, our only employee. So I would really like, that this study session did give us a chance to build on communication and find a way that we can, as a board, may not always agree, but always communicate. And to do it in the proper channels, and not necessarily so that we have to do it out here. So, with that, I think I'm going to close. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Pretty much covered some of the things I was going to mention. I attended the Excellence in Education Awards, and I just want to say congratulations to our representative, Alicia Cruz. She serves on the Yolo County School Board Association. They did another wonderful and very enjoyable event, and we're really proud of our ROTC students who were present. Yesterday, I went to the Bright Cafe for their special lunches, and I actually took my mom. I saw also one of our social workers, Grace Lopez, I believe is her name, and she was there with our social worker interns. It was, I believe, their last day. And they've been, all year long, they've been on our different campuses, and they've done some tremendous work on behalf of our students. And these are unpaid interns. And they also had a wonderful lunch there. It was fantastic. I had the Napoleon half-brie sandwich, and they made an incredible mango smoothie, just a Class A. So congratulations to all of them. And let's see now. Oh, yes. Today I was invited by Sona Shea Desmangelis. She is the Career Information Specialist over at Yolo High School. Yes, and I saw, of course, Mr. Rosas there. I went to help register students, and it was great having them so enthusiastic about registering to vote. Many of them will be voting for the first time on the June 5th primary. And it was great having conversations with them. And we had some of the teachers in there, and we were talking about civic engagement. So that's always just a pleasure for me to go out and see young people excited about voting for the first time, but most importantly, finding out more, about the different elections and the different initiatives that are out there. It's really great to see that. And that's all of my report for now. Thank you. So now we're going to move on to superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Alcala, Board of Trustees, staff, and guests. This evening, I'm just going to give some highlights. There's a lot going on in the district, a lot of celebrations because everybody wants to capture everything that is going on, and a lot of schools are just summarizing and culminating and just really seeing our kids in a very, very dear way because it's time for them to move on. So we'll begin first by yesterday morning, quite bright and early. We were at Bridgeway Island on the back-to-school day, and so we had hundreds and hundreds of kids and parents biking, and that red arrow there, I want to give a shout-out to Henry and Audrey Robas, who are the brand-new parents who have been given the baton to do the health and wellness projects for Bridgeway Island, where they track all the kids' movement of how many steps they've taken, how well they're doing health-wise throughout the year with the physical exercise. We did have some media out there because it was at the same time with the city with the bike trails and things like that, but really it was mostly about Bridgeway Island and doing this annual event of Bike to School Day. Our other schools will also be doing some Bike to School. Some of it is part of the Safe Routes to School, and so we want to give a shout out to Henry and Audrey because they've taken on a very big task. River City High School mock interviews, I want to thank Trustees Cruz, Pizzotti, and Wong for taking the time to be there. And I also and other staff members were able to be with kids. And 2 years ago, I asked all of our administration to consider taking on a student and being a mentor to a student that, obviously they do not teach, but they can all embrace a student and just kind of like adopt a student. Well, I found mine for next year. I found mine through these mock interviews, and I'm really excited to be able to keep tabs on this particular student and just be there for things that he needs. And it was a really, really great morning. So I wanted you to kind of know what it was about, because these are about the soft skills for college and career readiness. These interviews come from the foundations class that Get Focused, Stay Focused. And so every student had to turn in their resume, and we were able to give direct feedback on that. But basically, we went through different questions so that they had a different way of looking at how to express themselves. So the basic interview question, like, what are your strengths or what are your weaknesses? But the behavioral interview question was about, well, how do you, one of them was like, how do you respond when you don't agree in a group? And a lot of them talked about the collaborative assignments that they get from teachers, and my son was one who complained all the time. I don't like working in a group, I just want to do the work myself. But that's what we know is the workforce is not like that. And so the kids talked about how they handle that when that happens at school. The career development is about what they want to do in 10 years. And so that was they're very thought out. This foundations class in 9th grade, that's a required course, helps our students to determine what they want to study in the future. The special about you was putting themselves aside, making us remember them apart from the other students who are interviewing. So that was hard for some of the kids because they had to talk what was special about them. That was probably the most difficult question. And then the critical thinking brain teaser was things like, give me 10 ways that you can use this pen. And boy, you could just see all of the thinking going on. So it was a great exercise, and thank you to the River City High School teachers in the foundations courses that really set this up. The kids came very professional. They had their ties or their polo shirts. They curled their hair. They had suits on. It was a really good exercise, and now they're on their way to their pathways. I spent this morning in the Los Rios Promise Summit, which is an annual event, and it was in Sacramento. And there on the program, what you see is we had some pretty big hitters inside the room, in that at a federal level, Martha Cantor is leading the National Promise for America. And so she gave an update of where we've come from in our nation in regards to college for free and helping kids who can't afford to go to college, and also first-generation college goers to get them to college. I learned a lot. I didn't know that way back in our past, I was born in 1960, but in that time, college was free. And college no longer was free in the 1980s. And so since then, that's where the troubles have come, and lots of barriers have risen for many of our students. And I learned a lot of some of those barriers, and I wanted to share some of that with the board. We also had a state level, the California Promise, and we had Eloy Ortiz Oakley there, and he's pretty well known in education. He was well tied to Long Beach Unified. And Long Beach Unified is a very respected school district. of really having good systems in place, and they had a strong college promise program. And so now he is working at the state level and helping all the school districts in California to get to a point of helping our students. We had 3 mayors there that we heard, what are you doing in your cities? We heard Rancho Cordova, we heard our city, West Sacramento, and we heard Mayor Darrell Steinberg talk about what he's going to be doing in Sacramento to help kids get to college. So just a little bit about the College Promise, because this really is really our overarching umbrella when we talk about college and career readiness. And the first thing is that in 2015, across America, there were only 53 programs that had the concept of College Promise. Today, in 2018, there are over 200 school districts and cities that have the College Promise movement and initiative in their cities. The purpose of the College Promise is, one, to increase the graduation rate, not just for high school, but for college. And secondly, to make a more sustainable workforce for the future of the community. The point is to get the people to come back home and serve home. Ownership of our own communities, because sometimes during recessions, things go away. And when things go away, we lose generations of students. And their opportunities for their future. The ownership is really fourfold, and that's the foundation is our K-12 system. That's us. Any kind of College Promise has to be with the unified school district or a high school district. Of course, our partnership also is with colleges. It's not just community, but UC Davis and Sacramento State are also part of our partnership. Businesses, so that they sponsor internships to get kids ready for college, and of course the cities, who usually are the funding source and the partnerships for school districts to get kids to college. So in the College Promise, some things I thought were really important for us to remember of why we do this. In our nation, 14% of our community college students are actually homeless. And I hear from my friends and relatives, I hear the joke about, oh, when you're 18, you're gonna have to be out on your own. Well, I think what has happened is that some kids, the foster youth particularly, after they become 18 years old, and they're trying to have a brighter future for themselves, the transiency of adoptions and moving family to family or home to home to group home, they are still considered homeless, and they're still trying to get to college. Another is the student debt, and in our nation, it's calculated about $1.545 trillion. Now, my son knows that because he's still paying his debt. In America, we are 10th in the world for college degree attainment, and so there's more and more research that people are seeking about are our kids finishing college when they enter it? And we have to really look at that data because it hasn't really been tracked very well. And lastly, because of this, there are many unfilled jobs. And what they said were the most unfilled jobs are computer and technology skill-based. So what we're doing in our technology, in our in instruction for technology, using technology in our learning and in our teaching, it truly is looking for the future. Now let's talk about home, the Los Rios Community College Promise. When Brian King, the chancellor of the actual Los Rios School District, Community College School District, they are proposing that there's about a $2.1 billion added income supporting over 27,000 jobs in this entire Sacramento region by just doing this College Promise over time. For us, I have to say that West Sacramento was represented. I'm glad I attended. There were 3 superintendents in the room, and we were the only ones that actually have a College Promise going. So you see there Brian King to the right. He is the chancellor of the Los Rios Community College School District. In the center there is Michael Gutierrez, who is the president of Sac City College. And then we have Art Pimentel, who's the dean of our Sac City College of our West Sac Center. And of course, we have the mayor there who is running the Kids Home Run Initiative with our district. And that was actually the partnership that the federal level and the state level and the local levels talked about, that it is fourfold, that it takes the four entities to make it. So I wanted the board to remember that in Washington Unified, our focus and alignment with the Kids Home Run Initiative is our preschool programs, quality of preschool, and that's what we're working for with our teachers and ensuring that as many kids as possible, even though we have half day, we're going to be able to provide more for more kids. Washington Unified kindergarten students, our kindergarten students, get that college savings account. Our students get hired for internships, and I wanted to let the board know, right now for our internships, we have 2 slated for Wallace Cool and Associates, 2 for California Fuel Cell Partnerships, 5 for Center Land-Based Learning. We have some that are undetermined for Computer for Kids. We have 15 to 18 student internships slotted for the City of West Sacramento Summer Steps. In Washington Unified, we have 3 student interns for MOT from the construction pathway. We have 6 student interns for technology coming from engineering, computer science, and robotics pathways. And we have 5 students being paid for food service coming out of the culinary program. So we're trying to increase as much for student internships so that they learn about the workforce. Also, we're increasing our dual enrollment. River City High School has dual enrollment. You heard the student, one of my student advisory students, I said, you've got to enjoy some time off. He is taking major amounts of community college classes while going to high school so that he's trying to get into Stanford and Harvard.
Oh my gosh.
That is what he's working for, and he's only a junior this year. But he has looked at his path, and that's what he's doing for dual enrollment at River City. And of course, we have our Washington Middle College High School, and we want the board to know that we have 28 new freshmen coming in to the new for next year's class. So as each year comes, we will be increasing more and more kids going to college at the same time of going to high school. So while we were doing the mock interviews, somebody had mentioned about the buddy program. You're going to hear about the buddy program at the next board meeting, but this falls under our school climate, and this took off like wildfire. The projects that the buddy program really lifted off the ground are the We Care kits, where if you serve others outside of yourself, the kids find a little bit more of a peace within themselves. The students that were identified to be a part of the buddy program came from recommendations that they needed additional support. And when you see the elementary kids running to their high school mentor and their buddy, it's very touching. And that's part of creating a more positive school climate. They did cards for children that are in hospital care. And they also did the community rocks. So if you walk the Clarksburg Trail behind the high school, you see rocks from this buddy program that they painted and created themselves to leave for the community. Congratulations to NCCT students, and we're going to be honoring a couple kids and our teacher, of course, at the next meeting, because it kind of all came out and rolled out pretty quickly, but this is pretty amazing. First place architectural design. And, you know, it was a rough ride for a while with NCCT, and board members, you know, really advocated to keep this program, and then we received some grant funding for it. This is a way for kids to go to college. This is a way for kids to have high-paying careers as well. And so we want to honor a couple of those that we're finding out about at our next meeting, but congratulations to our NCCT students. I wanted to just take a moment. I know it's a little bit longer than I had planned, but in terms of the Senior Scholarship Awards, I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention our incredible local partners who generously have given over $47,000. This is just local organizations. This doesn't include the full rides of scholarships. This doesn't include college scholarships or even outside organizations outside of West Sacramento. But this is our own community. And so I'll just go through this quickly. Mary Virginia Wells, Glass West, Grace Olson, John Cavalieri, CSCA, River City High School Athletics, Rotary. Rotary gave $17,000 of scholarship. Virginia D. Ortiz, Rose and Ray Sprague, the West Sacramento Kiwanis, they gave $4,000. Moose Scholarships, VFW, Concilio, and Concilio broke my heart because if you know Rick Gonzalez, he's been doing this for 20 years. And he's tired, and he is begging somebody to take this program and continue it, but as of right now, nobody else has stepped forward. So he announced it that it may be the last time Concilio is giving scholarships unless somebody else comes forward to take it on. Our own River City High School Academy gave scholarships. WSTA gave scholarships to kids. Steve Marsh, our music boosters, for the first time, were able to give 5 scholarships. The academic scholarships from Poswell, Cabrillo Club, the Rotary Interact, those are our student Rotarians, and the Folclorio Latino de Woodland actually gave to West Sacramento students. Thanks isn't enough for our organizations to be so generous to our children, to give them a chance to get back on their feet as they go into college. We know the debt is high, but any amount is helpful for them, and their students are so very, very grateful. So this month is a celebration of a lot of people in school districts, so we should just say happy celebrations to all staff. It was National Principals Week. It was School Nurses Week. It's Teachers Week, Day of the Teacher this week. In 2 weeks, it's Classified Employees Week. And so what we're going to do is just honor all staff. Through the Washinton Unified School District, we're going to be making deliveries next week because the teachers are eating every single day this week, and our classified staff will be eating every single day the following week. So we're going to go in between and give some treats and just some swag to thank them. And lastly, we want to give a shout out to our Excellence in Education Award winners. We had educators, counselors, middle school teacher, and a kindergarten teacher. Paula Tapia just was in tears when we went to go and let her know over at Westmore Oaks. The kids absolutely love her. I couldn't get out of there. The kids just were going crazy. Krista Koch, who has really led the charge to help our ELD curriculum and just service to English learners really get to where it needs to be. And of course, the Dream Team, the whole program of helping our units of study and unpacking standards and giving that support. So Washinton Unified really is a great place to be, and I'm really honored to be your superintendent. Thank you.
Superintendent Luna, can you hang on 1 second? I just wanted to follow up on some of the things that you said. They're just comments, but you mentioned our partners and the scholarships, and I couldn't agree with you more. Our local partners are amazing, but there's one thing that I wanted to propose to the board to think about as we go forward is the board should, I think, consider doing a scholarship of our own. Yeah, I know.
Our attorney said you can't.
Well, okay.
But I agree. We need to
I think we should look into it a little bit further and see if there's a way we can find, some way to do this, because I completely agree. This was a great idea. And then Trustee Wong and I were talking about, some of the other scholarships that are awarded. Yeah, and it turns out to, there's academic scholarships as well as there's sports scholarships. And those that do sports scholarships do a national day of intent. And it's a national signing day, right? So it would be great to do that all at one time, because I think what we've done in the past is separate them out over several days. So I think that's something that, Trustee Wong brought up that I think, we could get behind and really do. And then you mentioned something about the computer technology industry as being the one that has the most job vacancies. And I just wanted to back that up with a little statement that my firm right now has been looking for someone to build us a database for over a year. So we've had bids out for over a year, and we have not been able to find anyone, still to this date. So that just kind of highlights the point that there are too few people entering that field in order to keep up with the demand. So you're absolutely right.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
I just have one comment, and that is I was at the park not that long ago pushing my child, and I was pushing my child right next to somebody else, and we got to talking about schools, and he told me how much he loved his daughter's school. And we kept talking, and he kept sharing the great things about Washinton Unified, and then he goes, "Hey, do you know Linda Luna?" And I said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, I do." And so thank you for bringing in so many of the partnerships you do. And one name was missing off that list, and it was yours. So thank you for donating as well to the scholarship fund.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Linda, I have two quick questions. The Home Run Initiative?
Yes.
Could you explain that a little so everyone understands what it is?
Yes, certainly. Is there any way I can get my slide back? Hey, my hair looks good on TV. Yeah, I'll go ahead and, if I could get the Los Rios Community College District, and then for West Sacramento for the local part. I think it's slide 12. Slide 12. Yeah, I'll get to them, and then because the components are there. So the preschool program is what they consider for a home run. The preschool program is that first base to make sure that kids start school early. And so Washinton Unified we will be moving our preschool programs to their local schools so that families can begin the community and all of their volunteerism. It's starting with preschool and stay all the way through 8th grade. We will still have preschool programs at Alice Norman as well. Our Head Start programs will be there, and we're working with County Office of Education, Yolo County, to open some state preschool full day as well. That is in the works right now. So we're partnering with our County Office of Education for the preschool. The other part of First Base is also the kindergarten. So that's the kindergarten college savings account, which I don't think has started yet, but it's part of the measure eventually that we get there. So the language on that initiative is that students who attend preschool, the highly qualified preschool programs, where they actually go through the assessments like ours do, if they enroll in a Washinton Unified School District kindergarten class, they are eligible for a $50 savings account towards college, and that's part of the initiative in that tax measure. So that's first base. Second base is about student internships. So we're working on paying students during their summer time to go and learn with the experts of the field that they want to work in or in the pathway that they're already in. So the tax measure is supporting student internships. We support it as well because we need help during the summer. And especially in the technology area, who more to help us, right, with our kids. So we also partner with that in having our students in interns. The third base, the second base also is about the dual enrollment and getting kids, but this layer for the city has to do with digital badging. And we have two, Renee Collins and Carrie Korwitz really work hard on the digital badges so that our students can get into those paths, and it's really at a birthing stage at this point, but those students will be able to use those for digital portfolios as they go and find jobs and apply for jobs. They will have those as like certifications kind of achievements. And then that's for our own program. And so I think third base has to do with the first year of tuition up to $1,000, and it's not just community college. It's also partnering with UC Davis and with Sac State for up to $1,000. And the students have to be enrolled full-time of 12 units or more, because the research does show, and actually my daughter's part of that research, that if you're not enrolled full-time at a community college, you are going to take a much longer pathway to finish college. And then the home run, a home base is for the students after they graduate from college, is to come back to West Sacramento and serve and to lead. And so that's the initiative at the city level, but for us, this is how it affects us. And it's really every one of our students is going to be touched in some manner with this tax measure and this initiative so that we get our kids more to college. So that's the initiative.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are now moving on to N, the information discussion items, and there are no information discussion items this evening under this heading. Okay, so now we move to O, public hearings. O1, instructional materials, social science 6 through 12, advanced placement, social science core, advanced placement, language and literature. Andy Parsons, Assistant Superintendent. Thank you, Andy.
Good evening. It's great to be here tonight, and I'm excited to offer to the Board of Education instructional materials that we're going to ask in a moment for a public hearing. Tonight, I'm bringing forward 4 different areas. Number 1 is social sciences 6th through 8th grade. Secondly is high school 9 through 12. And advanced placement, social science 10 through 12 core, which is AP European History, AP US History, and AP Government Econ. And lastly, I'm bringing forward advanced placement ELA 11th grade and 12th grade. I would like to thank Ruth and my assistant Connie for doing a great display over there for the public so they can see our instructional materials. They will also be on display at Educational Services in the district office. Just wanted to talk briefly about the process that we went through. The publishers were chosen by the social science cadre, and we had 3 presentations at our January 26th Professional Learning Day, where they could ask, all the teachers, 6 through 12, could ask questions of the publishers, and then they had provided additional questions and answers to Assistant Principal Rodriguez and myself, who communicated with the publishers. We also had additional discussion, quite lively discussion between these 3 publishers at our collaboration days and during cadres. All teachers, through a Google Doc, were able to vote on the publisher and the textbooks that they preferred. And then I met with the publishers to negotiate contracts, and the Curriculum Council, all the instructional materials was presented on April 17th and passed unanimously. Just so you know, the current materials that 6-8 has been using for 6 through 8 were from 2006 and 2007, which means they were not Common Core aligned. They were adopted 10 or 11 years ago. What they have chosen to go with is TCI, which I actually used in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was a social science teacher, and they have done some phenomenal jobs with both project-based learning and digital content. And so we are asking the board at the next board meeting to consider approving 6th grade Ancient World, 7th grade the Medieval World and Beyond, and 8th grade United States through Industrialism. Secondly, 9 through 12 social science currently uses 2006 for their world history and U.S. history, and 2003 for their government and econ books. In fact, some of the books do not even have 9/11 in them, so you can see it's been a while for us. So after looking at the three publishers, our high school teachers have chosen to go with Pearson adoption. That would be 10th grade World History, 11th grade U.S. History, and 12th grade Government and Econ. And again, all these publishers have digital content, so I really need to call out technology as well, because this is a whole Ed Services project, because we have to make sure that digital content is working effectively for our kids, as well as rostering and things of that nature. Then we looked at our advanced placement materials, and I just wanted to point out that our AP materials are quite old as well. You can see AP, it was kind of, when I looked at the AP US History 2016, it's just a paper book that preps them for their AP test, but they do not currently have an AP book. And then I was talking to Amy, who is the department chair of ELA, and Susan Smith, who teaches AP language and literature at the 11th grade and 12th grade. And we realized that they do not use AP adopted materials. They have Patterns for College Writing, which was 2007, and the Bedford Introduction to Literature in 2008. So we talked about it and decided we really need to update the AP ELA books as well. And so the proposed adoption is AP European History. This is from Pearson. The social sciences, all three books are from Pearson. And so it'd be AP European History, the Western Heritage, AP Government, AP US History, and then we're actually providing our 11th and 12th grade students with College Board recommended AP Literature and AP Language books. So that is that. And so I would ask the board, do you have any questions or comments before having a public hearing?
Okay, Trustee Pizzotti has some questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so one of the classes I took when I was in high school that really, I think, kind of pushed me into the political realm was this course called Vietnam in America. And of course, I went to school in the 80s, so Vietnam was only a decade old when it ended. I'm curious if these books touch on maybe, like I said, it said the 20th century for one of the history books. Does it touch on, say, the Gulf War, or going back as to maybe Vietnam and some of that era?
Absolutely. One of the things that our high school teachers really liked about Pearson was the amount of primary source materials that were included, as well as the Gulf War, the Vietnam War, and showing the connections between things. Right. And one of the really important things about history, as you know, is that our textbooks is but a resource, that it's the activities, the pedagogy, and the teacher that teaches the kids. And so when they were looking at the different publishers, they wanted to find one that provided those resources to actually support their kids in the activities, project-based learning, and things of that nature. So yes, it does. It goes very in depth, but it's the primary source materials that we're really impressed by.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Andy, also on, I'm sorry, did anyone else have any questions? Okay, on the AP Government in America, People, Politics, and Policy, that's something that I'm very happy to see on there, because I think civic engagement is so critical for our students, and it's been missing for many years, statewide. So what are these, you said, are they like ebooks, or is it an actual?
There's actual digital content that goes with it, so it's not just a PDF of the book. It's actual activities, videos, and things of that nature that will help engage the student in the classroom as well as at home, because with the digital content, they can have 24/7 learning.
Fantastic, okay. Anyone else? Comment?
I just want to thank the teachers and the team, and I know that Trustee Kirby Gonzalez and I just appreciated the dialogue and the conversation, and so I thank you for all the hard work in this adoption. So
teachers were awesome.
Yeah,
through the
teachers
process.
were pretty awesome.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you.
So I just need a public hearing.
Because
okay.
because we might adopt
Yes,
it again
yes,
in
okay, we're gonna-
another 20 years.
Yes, okay. So we're opening public hearing and closing public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Okay, so now we are at P, the consent agenda. Mine is, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, consent agenda. May I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously approved. Okay, so we are now going to R because Q1 was removed. There are no action items for the revision of the agenda earlier to this meeting. Remove Q1 from agenda. So we are on R, Board Governance, R1, timeline for transitioning from at-large by Bay Area trustee elections. We have 2 public comments. Thank you.
This is R1.
Oh, yes, on R1. Okay. Laura Jameson.
Let's do it after.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Laura. Who's making the presentation? Oh, thank you.
William.
Didn't see anyone stand up. Okay.
Mr. Tunick.
Come on down.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members.
Could you?
You got to hit the mic again.
Thank you.
Mr.
Tunick, could
on
you?
the bottom of the mic, sir. Okay, it's green.
Could you please
Good job.
introduce yourself just
Of course.
for the audience? Thank you.
Oh, it just turned off again.
Oh, wait, okay.
Can I get it on?
It just turned off again because you moved it. Because it's, oh, now. Oh, thanks, Don.
Is it good?
Yes.
I will
Thanks.
not
That-
touch it.
That worked.
Well, good evening, board members, members of the audience. My name is William Tunick. I'm an attorney with, stand over here, with Dennis Walliver Kelly. I've spoken with the board a few times previously in regards to the California Voting Rights Act and the board's consideration and decision or intent to move from at-large elections, which it currently uses to elect board members, to by-trustee area elections starting in 2020. And what we're here tonight to talk about with this agenda item is in review of the timeline for that transition process, and specifically for the formulation and adoption of the trustee area maps themselves, the actual boundaries of the trustee areas. Just by way of background, in April, the board adopted a resolution which indicated its intent to make the transition from at-large to by-trustee area elections again for implementation for the 2020 election. And that resolution indicated that the board anticipated the process, the adoption of the maps, to be complete by the end of 2018. And so coming from that, what we did was put together a more detailed outline of what that timeline would look like and that process would look like. And I think I wanted to mention kind of the 4 things we were looking at, 4 or 5 things that we were considering when putting together that transition, or excuse me, that timeline plan with district staff. The first thing was to avoid any delay. We understood there was the interest, there was the intent of the board to make this transition and so to move this process forward in a timely and deliberative manner. So that was the first thing. The second thing was also not to rush the process. The board, I think, very strongly felt, and I've heard this in public session, and I know staff agreed, that this is an important decision, and working with other districts, I know they feel the same way, and that they needed to be adequate time, both for the board to be able to consider this decision and discuss among itself at board meetings, but also for there to be time for community meetings, community feedback, time for members of the community to review maps and revisions before the board had to make a decision. So I think that was also a very important thing. Third, unfortunately, the timing of this, we're coming up to the summer break, which generally for school boards is not an ideal time to be making big decisions. You have less community involvement, I think, over the summer than you might have during the school year. So we wanted to make sure that we maximize, that we put more of the impactful decisions and discussions during that school year period. And then finally, the last thing, obviously, I maybe should have started with here, is that the timeline fulfills the legal requirements as far as the process for making this transition. And primarily what you're looking at there is the requirement to have 2 hearings, 2 public hearings at board meetings prior to the drafting of any maps. So the law actually requires to have 2 full public hearings before you have anything drafted. And then once you start going through the drafting process, it requires 3 hearings, 3 public hearings before the maps are adopted. So those 5 hearings are incorporated into the timeline that I believe was provided along with the agenda materials and publicly posted. I can go through it real quickly. I don't need to stop necessarily at every line item, but just to give a sense of how it would work. Obviously, tonight we're at May 10th, and we're talking about the timeline, the demographer, which is the next item on the agenda. That'll be followed by May 24th, that first of those pre-map public hearings. Moving on to June 14th, the second of those pre-map public hearings. And at that point, what we'd anticipate is having, again, once the demographer is selected, having the demographer come to the board meeting and present on the actual process, the mechanics of what that map drawing process looks like. So everything from what data they use to how they're going to be interacting with the board and staff, and also talking about the criteria that they can use in drawing those areas and getting feedback from the board on what that should look like. So that would be June 14th. Immediately following that, we have the first community forum to get feedback from the community, June 20th. Then the first draft maps would come out and would be discussed at the June 28th board meeting. And I think even though that's kind of at the tail end of this school year, I think it's a good idea, and we put this on here, to get those first drafts out as soon as possible, because I think it's a lot easier, in my experience, for members of the community to provide feedback when they have a first draft of a map. It's difficult to have feedback when you don't have something to feedback against, I guess I would say, or provide feedback to. So those first maps would come out and be reviewed at the June 28th meeting. That would be a chance for the board to say, we kind of like this, we don't like this, can we try this differently, what about a different version, that kind of feedback to go to the demographer. We then have the second version of the maps coming out over the summer. With school starting up again in August, that's really where we have the series between August and the middle of September. We'd have a series of 3 additional board meetings and hearings, and the cycle of board meeting, revised maps being posted online, and community forum, and then again to another board meeting. So that's pretty much what you see from August till September, with that adoption coming by the board at their September 27th board meeting. And then obviously, as we've talked about before, there's a process beyond the district board going to the county committee and the state board of education, and that process would take place after September. All of this would provide the district and the county plenty of time to implement the change for the 2020 elections. So that's sort of the overview. If there's any questions on the timeline, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, Mr. Pizzotti has a question.
Yeah, so this may blend into the next agenda item, but in terms of the demographer, I would recommend that we get, it doesn't say to get an analysis of the district to be done. Yeah, and let me just finish up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There's nothing to asking for an analysis of the district as to whether or not we're in compliance or out of compliance, or where we are, more out of compliance than where we are or in compliance. I would like to see us have an analysis done so that we can figure out from what we need going forward, so we can talk and share that with the community as well as it shouldn't be from the same demographer as we select. It's kind of that idea of design build, or the analogy I made of a smog check. You don't take your car to get, or you do take your car to get smog at one place, but you can't have them do the work to fix it. So I would hope that we consider doing that, because I would truly like to know, where the issues truly lie in our district in terms of CVRA.
Okay, I'm so sorry. We do have, I apologize, we do have a public comment on here. Lord Jameson?
Hi, good evening. And I appreciate all the information that the consultant provided, but if I could just get some clarification on what DWK, what their role is, I guess maybe I don't understand that or I missed it. And it is unfortunate that a lot of this is happening over the summer. I think we're going to have a hard time getting feedback. I did take a look at the district's website, and there is not much information there. I don't think it even has the resolution posted on the place where I found it, and maybe it was just not in the right location, but it's just if that website could be updated. And I think also, given that we're in the summer, if the district could have something set up so that parents and community members have a clear way to provide comments to the district and to the board on these issues, because I think getting people to attend board meetings in the middle of summer is probably going to be difficult. But so maybe email comments might be a better way. And just in looking at some of the dates, like the maps would be posted and then there would be a hearing a week or two later. Sometimes that just may not be enough time, especially in the summer. And I was thinking maybe once school starts, there can be just some more. I appreciate the community workshops at Southport and at Bright, but also having meetings with maybe some of the PTO meetings that happen or some of the parent principal coffees. I recognize that may just be a time constraint that just may not work, but I think as much as feasible, I think the more outreach we have with the parents, probably the better feedback we're going to get. So that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have questions or comments? Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. I guess that's all we have.
Okay, well, that's the,
I
think I'm up again.
Yes, so right. I was going to say R2 now, I just realized that review and selection demographer in transition by Bay Area trustee elections.
So,
Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay.
Sorry about that. And just to, just kind of by way of introduction again, so again, I'm an attorney with DWK. We're a firm that works with the district on a variety of matters, and as far as this particular matter, our role is to assist the district with compliance with the legal process as far as making the transition and kind of the separation of roles, and actually this is a good segue, is that whereas our job is to be concerned with the legal process and the legality of the maps and mainly procedural issues, the district will bring in a demographer whose job is to actually work with the maps and the data and to actually help the board in drawing the lines and facilitate that process. And it's more of a technical consultant, whereas we will focus on the legal end of things, but we work hand in hand. And actually, as I talk about these consultants, many of which we've worked with in the past in that similar capacity. So the second item that you have tonight, and this was on the timeline, is the selection of a demographer consultant, again, to help draw the trustee area maps. And just for background, the process on this was, and this is something we followed with other districts we've worked on the similar issue. The California Department of Education actually maintains a list, the consultant who works on this maintains a list of consultants who do this type of work in the state. There's about maybe 8 or 9 on that list right now. And so what we did was we put together a pretty straightforward request for information. We took all the names on that list from CDE and sent it out probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and asked for anybody who was interested to provide a proposal. We tried to give them as much time as possible. We'd actually asked that they return it by yesterday at 5 o'clock. And so we did that. We sent that out. We got 4 responses back from those emails. And what you have before you, and I think it's been provided to the public as well, is a short summary of the 4 proposals. And I did want to say this. I know this is pretty short. As far as the process that all these consultants would be using, and we've worked with 2 of the 4 of them, the process is going to look pretty similar. If you look through the proposals, it's meet with district staff and legal counsel, figure out what the process is going to be, line up the timeline, come and have that first initial discussion with the board about criteria and how the process works, and then again this cycle of draft maps, coming to board meetings, getting revisions, and going through that cycle 3 or 4 times till you arrive at final maps. So what I did do is talk a little bit. I think a lot of the the differences between the proposals, obviously price being one of them, and experience probably being the other on this specific issue. So just real quickly to go through the four that are on here, cooperative strategies, which also used to be Delinka for a while. They're a group, they do a wide variety of consulting for school districts. They've worked with, most recently in Northern California, Martinez Unified, as well as Dublin and Santa Rosa City School Districts that have gone through this process. We've worked with them on several occasions. Their proposal was essentially the $18,400 plus expenses for the work. We had Decision Insight, which is a firm similar, I think, to Cooperative Strategies in that they provide a wide range of consulting services. They proposed at $10,000, essentially a not to exceed. There's a little bit of some additionals there. I tried to kind of highlight where there's some limits on how many maps that they're including in their price and where there might be some additional costs. So I would expect that number to be a little bit higher at the end if you went with them. Again, I think one plus for them is they've got a current working relationship with the district, I believe, on enrollment, either projections or boundary areas. So that would be they have some familiarity with your district already. On the flip side of that, they've done a little less in the CVRA trustee area world than some of these other consultants. Lapkoff and Gobelet, which I always get the name wrong. They're I think they're two PhDs actually in the Bay Area who do this work as well. As you see on there, they've worked with San Jose Stockton. They quoted $40,000 for their proposal. One thing I did notice about theirs that I thought was useful, and I think regardless of who the board chooses to go with, was a reference to looking at where growth has happened in the district in the past 8 years, because the data they're going to be working with, a lot of it is the 2010 census. So making sure that that's incorporated regardless of who the district chooses, I think is, but I did like to see that was specifically mentioned. And then the last on there was National Demographics Corporation, which is NDC, for those of you who've heard of that correspondence. Their proposal was roughly $21,500 if you add in the cost to be here in person for the meetings, which I would suggest you do, because I think that I've seen it try to be done over video conference, and it's kind of difficult to do it that way. As far as NDC goes, they have been involved, as far as I know, pretty much in all the CVRA litigation in the state, and they've worked with, like it says on here, I think over 80 school districts, and we've worked with them as well. I think most recently in Redwood City School District down in the Bay Area. They worked with us on that one. So that's essentially, and I did want to mention one last thing. There was also a question about the involvement of the county registrar's office, and we did a little bit of digging on that. We're not completely final on that. It appears they did work with Woodland Joint Unified to update their maps in 2012, or 2012, I'm sorry. But I think what may have happened there is that they've had trustee areas for a long time. I think it was a result of a merger, and it looks like what the county did was help them update maps, not necessarily draw new maps, which is a pretty different process. So we're double checking with the county to make sure that isn't an option, that they either can't or do not want to do it. So we will get back to the board on that, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be a good fit for this process. So in any event, that's sort of where we get to tonight. I think the goal of the agenda item was to get direction from the board to negotiate a contract with one of these consultants, and that, of course, would be brought back for board ratification at a later date, but it would let us get the process started and make sure we get on their calendar as soon as possible. So.
Thank you. Laura Jameson, public comment.
Good evening again. I guess just really quickly on the third one, the lap, cough, and goblet. I probably said that wrong. There was the optional analysis of housing growth. I like that call out, but then kind of recognizing that we're going to have to redo the demographic study anyway. I don't know if that additional line item is going to be worth the cost. That's just kind of my 2 cents on that one. On the fourth one, the NDC, the $12,500 for the website. Yes, that'd be great, especially me as a data person. I would love to move lines on a map. But if that is not kind of an active GIS database, so as you move the lines, you would see the change in population and change of demographics. I don't know what the benefit is really going to be, so other than being kind of pretty, but I guess the public is going to need a way to provide comments on the lines and maybe provide an example of where they think the lines should be, so maybe that's the best solution. So, okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah. So did any Sacramento-based firms apply?
You know, unfortunately not, and...
Or did the offer go out to any Sacramento-based firms?
I'm trying to remember, there's one off the top of my head that I know is on that list that we sent something out to. I'm not actually sure they're operational at this point, to be honest.
Which is?
I think it was Redistricting Partners, which was a firm that I'm not sure they've done. They had been doing it, but I'm not sure they've done it in a while.
Yeah, they're still operational.
Okay, well, there was no response anyway, so let me put it that way. In any event, I think a lot of them are located in Southern California. And that's been, which is
and that was my concern, is that a lot of these, I mean, it would be helpful to have somebody who's going to have less travel expenses. Yes. Berkeley certainly is, closer and would be easier to arrange for meetings. However, $40,000 is a lot of money. So, is there any way to, I don't know, is there any way to scale some of these proposals back or counter, say, we like your bid, but, and we like what you're offering, but we would request a lower bid?
For some of them, perhaps. I think the one thing that you could do, like with the cooperative strategies for one, I think they had 6 in-person meetings on there. I think you've got scheduled for 5 probably. So I think it'd be fair to go back and say, if we only need you for 5, is there a little bit of flexibility on the cost? And I've done that with them before.
Okay.
I'm not sure necessarily. And I should mention, by the way, just I apologize, kind of will add on real quickly. All of these, with the NDC, there was that call out for the website that allows you to move the lines around. All of the other ones, of course, would be providing PDFs or electronic maps with all that information, and most of them will also provide, if you don't want to, if the district doesn't, they'll actually set up an email address or a comment page type of thing for members of the public to use to submit comments as well.
Okay. And then just to go back to the point I made in the previous line item, was in terms, I know all demographers do district analysis. So would it be possible to potentially, I guess, take one of these demographers, whoever we don't select, and then put an offer out for a different bid of just an analysis?
Sure, that would be possible, yeah.
Is that something we could look into?
Yeah, if that was the board's direction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. On cooperative strategies, their bid was $18,400 plus expenses.
Yeah.
What is expenses detail?
I think it's travel expenses is mainly what you're looking at there. So, and they are coming up from some Irvine, so you're looking at flights probably.
Overnight stays, hotels, things like that?
We usually try, I'm trying to think in my experience with them, if you're close enough to a big enough airport here and they are, if we schedule the board meetings, that's usually the first item on the agenda, a lot of times they can avoid those overnight stays. I know they try to do it, but you could be looking at that as well. I'm just being realistic.
Could you just throw a ballpark figure what expenses might be? Pretty much
let me go look. I'm going to go see. I want to see, make sure exactly what it says, so let me come back.
$6 million.
It could be. I mean, you bring up kind of really good questions, and I'm still digesting this because demographers are brand new to me, and I feel like I know that our timeline says we have to vote on it tonight. I'm going to be transparent. I don't feel comfortable with a few bullet points and the cost to be able to, kind of move on something tonight. I mean, kind of, as we look from the last board meeting, it's like, what have we done? I did some research on the last contract, but this feels like this is a major thing for our city. And for me to make a decision based off these bullet points without full detail is disconcerting to me. And granted, that which would mean that it impacts the timeline that you laid out as well.
Well, and let me say this, and I think we want to stay on that timeline. Looking at it again, the demographers, the first time you'd have a demographer at a meeting is planned for June 14th. And
But your timeline says we have to decide on one tonight.
yes, well, that would be the ideal situation, because then we can make sure we're on their calendar. I've actually asked all of them who responded to indicate if they're available on these dates already, so they know about the dates. If the board, if the board feels more comfortable making that decision on the 24th, I can do what I can to make sure they hold those timelines. I don't know if it'll impact us, but I do want to put that as an option out there.
I am just concerned with the timeline. I know that, that's not entirely up to us, and it could affect the district. But I also feel, that's why I'm asking questions right now. So, Mr. Pizzati, you travel a lot. Let's say you've been Southwest Airlines, 6 meetings a person. What would, so round trip, so 5, so you add another 3,000, right, or so, and let's just say other expenses, whatever, the 3,500 to that. So what are we looking at? So let's say another 3, so that's at least a 2140, which makes it sort of comparable to the National Demographic Corporation. They have 1,350 plus 2,000 per meeting for 2,150. The other stuff is add-on, if we want to do that. So we're looking at 2,150. They've worked with over 80 school districts. They didn't list the school districts or anything, huh?
Yeah, and like I said, I know, for example, right now, we worked with them at Redwood City, and also down at San Benito High School District. I know they're working with West Contra Costa right now on their redistricting. I believe they're also working with the city of Elk Grove. They do a lot of city work as well. So if you've read about a CVRA district making the change, it's most likely that they're working with them. They do the large majority of these.
Yeah, so that's a pretty solid 2,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I would say I wouldn't be surprised that when you add the cost
And
in
we
on the
need
cooperative
4
strategy ones, it's about the same.
That's extra if we wanted to get like this, those would all be extras. And, it's been involved with all CVRA litigation. 4 in-person meetings, we're going to have 5, I believe. That's what's required to get public input. Is that correct?
Yes, so you're required to have 5 meetings. You're not required to have the demographer there. And as a matter of fact, the first one, I would say, it probably is not worth it. So I think you could either go 4 or 5, and again, that would be another $2,000 if you wanted to add that 5th meeting.
No, I think that's a pretty solid bid right there. No. Have you worked with you've worked with National Demographics Corporation before? Is that correct?
Yeah, both. Probably about equally them in cooperative strategies, I would say.
With the timeline pending, I'm very inclined to go with National Demographic Corporation. Their bid is solid. They've worked with over 80 school districts, and you've worked with them. That would be my choice. Anyone else?
I feel very uncomfortable because if a public member came and asked me about this, I wouldn't have information for them. So what I would propose or feel much more comfortable with, I think we've done this in other situations, is if the proposals were, I don't know how we could make this work, but if they were in a way where we could view them to then have this discussion at the next board meeting, so we could just look through them. Typically, when we approve a contract or it comes up, we can read through it, and so that's why this feels uncomfortable to me. And then just backtracking, not backpacking. I appreciated the comments about the timeline in terms of, really bringing it to have more than this in terms of at the school sites and maybe principal cafes and things. Because this is hard for us because it's in the summer and wanting to make sure that the community is very involved, with the same time of not feeling comfortable because I don't see those proposals to vote on. I also don't fully know, we haven't had a district analysis, so I feel like I can't speak to the public well on in terms of the issues that are going. So I tend to agree with Board Trustee Posadi that if we could also have this district analysis so we can see where the issues lay with CVRA, then we can speak knowledgeably on it and understand what's going on and where we lie, and then looking through those proposals. That's how I feel right now.
And I too agree with my colleagues in the sense that I would prefer to have both more information about what we're looking at in terms of the demographers, as well as potentially bringing an analysis demographer on at the same time to be voted on at the same time. If you could do that at the next board meeting or by the next board meeting. The analysis can be pretty much done by anyone as far as I'm concerned, because a demographer basically does that. It would just remove whomever we're looking at off the list of consideration, in my opinion. But there's a couple of other, at least local demographers that we should be looking into, at least maybe for the analysis portion of it. But yeah, I'm a little concerned. I actually know a little bit about demography, and without knowing anything about these firms, I'm a little more concerned about moving forward without having some of the concerns that I've raised addressed.
So let me ask you, once again, concerned with the timeline, because we don't want to run into a $3 million lawsuit. Could we squeeze some of these dates in, perhaps within that timeline? Like, I don't know, where we could, I see we have a community forum, like maybe on June 20th, could we, well, then the 21st, we have our board meeting. I'm just trying to figure out how we can maybe, we could squeeze some of those dates a little closer together.
Well, let me just clarify. If the question is as far as regarding the selection of the demographer, I think moving that to happen on the May 24th meeting along with the pre-map hearing. Yeah.
Let me make a motion to extend past 10 o'clock.
Can I finish, just let him speak real quick?
Past 10
Oh,
o'clock.
thank you, go ahead, I'm sorry. Okay, second, anyone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, Kobe.
No problem. Yeah, let me start that again. So if the concern is about the timeline impact of selecting a demographer, not tonight, but not at another meeting, I think that could be done at the May 24th meeting. You're going to have the pre-map hearing then anyway without the demographer, so that wouldn't impact the ability to start that process on the 24th. I think the only concern it starts to raise is just making sure we get on the demographer's calendar. But I can, like I said, I've already asked them if they're available, and I can do what I can to make sure that June 14th date sticks, so we could get going as soon as possible.
I think the board wants probably just a little more information on each of the people who have applied. And, that being satisfied, I'm certain that on the 24th, we could make, an informed decision on the demographer.
So I'll make a motion to table this item until the 24th.
I second. And with the tabling, how can I just ask what that would look like in terms of how we can look through the proposals? If that would be that they're posted, if it would be that they're at district office in a room and we can go through, or what could we do before that meeting to prepare?
Yeah, I think these are, I'm just thinking about it.
Just to read through those.
Yeah, I think we can get them to the board. I have to think about exactly how to do it, but I don't, there shouldn't be an issue with letting everybody have a chance to review those. I think really what happened here was the timing when we got them 5 o'clock yesterday, so, but this should alleviate that issue.
And I should say thank you for all the work that.
Yes, thank you so much. Just real quickly, I know that Mr. Rafferty offered within the 30,000 that we're already having to pay to do the maps, but the board did not believe that they wanted to go that way, just so everyone knows. Okay, so, right, let me find my, here we are. Okay. Yes, yes, okay, so, review and selection of demographer, we're going to call the vote on it.
The motion was
The motion has been tabled, so now we're going to call, all in favor? Aye. Okay, unanimously approved, thank you. All right, so now we are at future board agenda items.
I'm sorry,
sorry.
President Alcala. This is kind of under governance, but future board agenda items.
Okay.
I believe it was yesterday or the day before, I emailed the superintendent and the board president. There is a webinar on establishing effective school-based volunteer programs and opportunities and challenges that we haven't considered, and it wasn't able to be placed on the agenda because it was just, I believe it was yesterday, and I requested to attend that agenda, and for protocol and process, it's never been asked before about spending money for training. So unfortunately, the webinar is next week, and so I requested to go, and my reasoning for that was I have not attended the last two CSBA, and I don't intend in December. So it is an item where we can get a CD, so not, I can view it, and then many other people can view it. So I can't make a motion, but I don't know how to get an approval to do that from the board because it's not on the agenda and it's not information.
Linda, can you?
President Alcala, when the board reviewed the board policies and the bylaws, you made a decision that any training with CSBA doesn't need to be approved by the board. Only anything outside of CSBA kind of trainings or another organization. So because it's a CSBA, I believe it's fine without any approval.
So would you like to attend, or would you want the CD? I mean,
Well, I think the CD, if we purchase the webinar, we can only watch, unlimited people can watch it in one room, and unfortunately, I want to watch it at work, so I don't think that would work, but if we got the CD, it could be used whenever, whomever, wherever.
That sounds wonderful.
Could you watch it and then see if it's valuable and then make a recommendation to get the CD after, or is it to get at the same time?
I didn't see that as an option on the.
Okay. So I'm sorry, so you would be attending and also purchasing the CD, is that correct?
No, it's either or.
Oh,
I
either
could
or.
attend by myself, but I don't know how beneficial that would be, or we can get the CD and it could be available to everybody. So either or, not both.
Oh, okay.
So I appreciate that it is a CSBA, but also just to be transparent, I would like to just, let the board know it is a CSBA. Apparently, we don't need approval, but I would like to attend.
Do you know the cost of the CD?
It's $350. It's $299 for the webinar to watch, and then it's $350 if you want the CD.
Yeah, that's great, because
Either way,
like
that
people.
should be in our budget, right?
Right,
Okay.
it is, and all five of us would get to watch it, so.
Well, and anyone in the district, so.
That's wonderful.
I just wanted for future procedure protocol that I'm asking for that.
Okay. All
And
right.
thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for bringing that up. Okay, so now
do
we are at.
purchase the CD? I
purchase
just want
the CD?
clarification.
Yes.
We are going to purchase it.
Board, right. We don't need approval?
No, so go ahead and, because we can take care of that for you. Okay.
That's great, thank you. Okay, so we're going to go back to closed session now, I believe.